when history is made.
In for the net she goes, and Ash Barty has done it. The world number one has conquered Wimbledon for the first time, and she crouches on her haunches. She's crying tears of joy. She can't quite believe it. She said it would be a dream, and it certainly has proved to be.
ABC Sport is there.
I hope I made him proud. No, you did.
ABC Sport.
On radio, online, and on the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport. AFL.
Grandstand AFL.
Right boot from the top angle. Oh, yes.
What a high-quality game this is. Tremendous.
It's so good to watch.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's a new day, new day, new day, beginning.
Gibbons runs onto it, gathers Hardy, it's the boundary, John Tillman.
Oh, no! That is a great goal.
Battles it to his own advantage. Bangs it up into the top deck.
Kick it inside forward 50. Massive boy! What a mark!
That's his trademark. Snap from the pocket. Splits the middle.
This game is going up a gear.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season.
He started it, he finishes it.
On ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Another massive COVID challenge for the AFL. Both the Sydney Swans and the Giants affected. Just to get this game going, this is the third venue that this game has been scheduled at. It was moved from Giants Stadium to Ballarat and then up to the Gold Coast as it tried to avoid COVID. And the news coming through just before the start of this game, no less than half an hour ago, that major problems were going to have an impact on this particular fixture. The AFL confirming multiple Giants and Swans players and indeed club staff members who had attended the Wallabies versus France rugby match in Melbourne had been reclassified as Tier 2 contacts. So the Swans and Giants players who entered by Gate 7 of the venue at the rugby would not be able to play this evening in Sydney Derby 21. Fortunately, although there were 9 Giants and 6 Swans affected, it hasn't had a massive impact on either of the two teams tonight. For the Giants, these are the changes from the original teams. Toby Green and Matt DeBoer go out of the side. They're replaced by Tanner Bruin and Zach Sproul. Zach Sproul being named as the medical sub. The Swans have had 3 changes to their squad. Callum Mills and Harry Cunningham both won't play. Colin O'Riordan was originally down as an emergency. He's unable to play as well. They've been replaced in the selected side. Coming in, James Rowbottom into the team, Dylan Stevens into the team, and Ben Ronk into the team as well. So just to check again on those medical subs, Sproul the medical sub for the Giants. For the Swans, it will be Ben Ronk. Been a long time since we've seen him involved. Players and staff affected, well, they are going to have to isolate and will not be able to return to action until those players have been cleared by the Queensland government. Stephen Coniglio returns. It's a big in for the Giants, but of course they do lose their captain of recent weeks in Toby Green. Ben Cameron alongside myself, Clint Wilden in commentary. We're about to get underway, so no real time for a preview, but Shane Woden and David Mundy join us. It's a massive game overshadowed by, surprisingly, all the other COVID situations, gents. How do you see it going?
Yeah, g'day Clint, g'day Mundy. It's an exciting affair, this one. Sydney in form in the last 2 weeks, having dismantled West Coast and taken over the Doggies last weekend, who are really good form with the inconsistency of GWS to date so far.
Yeah, evening, Zoe. It's going to be an intriguing game. I think both clubs are, right in the mix. GWS playing some good footy as well at the moment, and to have their captain, Stephen Coniglio, come back in, obviously a huge in. But yeah, it's been a crazy week for these guys running out in the field, and hopefully this is a nice little release for them when we see a cracking game.
Swans are wearing their heritage South Melbourne jumper again. The Giants in the charcoal with the orange numbers on the back. Ben Cameron, good to have you with us as well. We only discovered the official teams about 5 minutes ago. I can only imagine what it's like for these two sets of players, but there are 4 points up for grabs. It's a big one too. Finals beckon for Sydney. The Giants want to keep themselves within reach. How will it unfold? Let's find out. Ben Cameron to get us started on Grandstand AFL.
So the strangest Sydney Derby 21 gets underway. Hickey and Flynn knocked down to Coniglio, gets a handball away to Ward. He gets it off by hand to Perryman, jams it on the boot, tumbles it out towards the wing. tracking after it. Kennedy, he paddles it to the boundary line and out of play. Will get a throw in alongside the interchange gates through the opening 21 seconds. No scorers yet. I know that Adam Kennedy was at Frozen the Musical when the team was called into an emergency meeting during the week, so he wasn't at the rugby. As trying to take it out of the ruck is Hickey. Dribbles a kick forward for the Swans. Canelio picks it up. Snaps GWS to half forward. McCartan juggles it. Nice mark. Out points Jesse Hogan and the Swans with it. That centre half back tries to find a leading target on the bounce. Goulden is able to pick it up, but he's wrapped up quickly by Kennedy. And we'll get a ball up on the logo. Opening minute here on Grandstand AFL. No score. Sydney Derby 21.
Hickey wins it down for the Swans to Kennedy. Hand passes backwards. Stevens has to get it away. Kick forward. Not a great one from Blakey, but it finds its way to its target. Papley into the left forward pocket. Big collision. A push being called against Lloyd. And the Swans will get the first opportunity to have a shot at goal. It'll come back to be taken by Haywood. Been in terrific form in front of the big sticks too. 19-4 for the season. He'll be booting the ball from about 50 out, 45-degree angle to the left of centre. So you're suggesting that Kennedy's a bit more cultured than some of his teammates off to the musical theatre and not the rugby. Will Haywood looking to give the Swans the first score of the game. He's done that, but it's not a goal. He's missed to the left-hand side. Started left, stayed left, minor score. Swans on the board first. Opening 2 minutes. Grandstand AFL.
Long kick in onto the chest of Perryman at left half back for the Giants. He chips it over the top, sets a task for Hopper. Spoilt down in front, trying to pick it up. Hewitt getting involved. Kelly, now Hopper through his legs. Kennedy for the Swans, gets it off to Fox. Handball to Hewitt. Handball to Kennedy. Parker snaps across the body. Inside 50 for the Swans. Big pack. No mark taken. Davis down at ground level. Handball away. Handball from Reid knocked down. Papley keeps going in the forward pocket. Sockers it on goal. Bounces it through. Tommy Terrific with the first goal of the match. It goes to the Swans through the opening 2.5 minutes on Grandstand AFL. There's Sydney Derby up at Carrara. Round 18, Shane Woden, David Mundy.
Well, it's a beginning of the game that's intermixed with some pretty ordinary kicking and skill level, but some really nice inside hands work, I feel. And I think this passage of play will be a bit what the night gets devolves into as we progress. Pretty sweaty affair up on the Gold Coast in the evening, so fantastic finish here by Papley.
Opportunistic for Tom Papley. He sockers it through for the opening major. He has more goals against GWS than any other team in the competition, so he likes playing the crosstown rival.
Good energy, doesn't he? Just provides it. Gets up and about early.
Not a great bounce to restart. Surely they had to bring that back. Umpire Chris Donlan, that was a shocker. The Swans work it towards left half forward. Ward had it though, mopped it up. Gave it to Taranto for the Giants. GWS down the outer side. Chance here from Flynn to Kelly. Kelly kicks towards right half forward for GWS. McInerney won it down. Taken strongly though. This is Bruin. Gets around and gets a kick inside forward 50. Blanky going back defensively. Good mark. Himmelberg did really well. Stretching was able to drag it in. He'll go and have a shot. He's in the right forward pocket.
Mr. Red Daniels.
Yeah. Shaking the head after a collision earlier on.
Been a good move from Sydney to push Blakey back this middle part of the year.
So Himmelberg looks to work it around. He snaps with the left and he can steer it through for a goal. So the quick response for the Giants. Swans getting the first. The Giants quickly getting the second of the game. Sydney's lead is by that earlier behind. They're 1-1-7. The Giants now 1 straight 6. 4.5 gone in the first.
There's the Brett Daniels one, just in a marking contest, copped an elbow at the back of the head. That'll be sore for a few minutes, but not a bad pluck here with one hand by Himmelberg in the forward pocket. It's not bad.
Defended him nicely.
His brother Elliot in action at the moment, playing for the Adelaide Crows against the West Coast Eagles in the other game, which the West Coast Eagles lead by 13 points. 12 minutes into the third term. So 1 point, the Swans' advantage. GWS 10-6 record in opening terms this year. The only quarter they have a winning record in. Flynn in the middle, slaps it down. Lots of players burrow in. Taranto over the top of Parker, and we'll get a secondary ball up in the middle. Umpire puts it aloft. Flynn and Hickey. Kennedy gets it for the Swans. Floats the ball to half forward. Amati underneath it. Davis outpoints him. Off hands though, so has to play on. Snaps to the wing. And coming up, Bruin is able to mark. So Tanner Bruin chips it short to Hopper. GWS down the broadcast wing. Hopper's kick sloppy. It allows in the Swans. Here's Dylan Stevens, the late inclusion. Handball to Parker, handball to Hickey. Kicks into the middle of the ground. Hewitt, nice pick up. Runs back into traffic. His handball knocked down there by Flynn. GWS quickly back the other way. Kennedy kicks inside 50. Hogan marks, no, drops it. Now has to follow up at ground level. Gets it off to Cornelio. Run down, good chase coming there for the Swans, and close to the boundary line. It's eventually out of play, and we'll get a throw in the left forward pocket. Or at half forward, McInerney, a rising star nominee from a couple of weeks ago, chasing down Cornelio. So half forward for GWS, boundary throwing.
One down by the Giants. Hewitt gathers, takes it straight back over the boundary line. Another throw in here. In the other game, it's still live. West Coast by 19 points over the Crows. 12 minutes gone in the third, soon. Back into play. Hickey got in front of his opponent, won it down. Kennedy was able to get it off the ground. It came to Kelly for the Giants, kicked around the body. Daniels couldn't mark, looked to tap it to its teammate. Was able to work it on to Tom Green and then got it back, but just couldn't control the football. It's over the boundary line again. Sydney lead by a point, early stages.
John Longmire coaching from the bench. Dean Cox, the most relieved man in Australia right now.
Once out by the Swans, it came to Parker. Parker goes back by hand to McInerney, who kicks towards right half back, and a good mark taken by the Giants. Up to gather. Nicely worked as Perryman. Perryman too far out to score himself, probably 2 kicks from goal. He'll send it towards full forward. Big pack underneath. Swans at the back, won it down. Blakey got a hand pass away to Hickey. He'll hand pass it out for Stevens to run onto. He'll go beyond defensive 50 to left half back.
Back feeds a handball. Hit a Lloyd. Kicks towards the logo for the Swans. Heaney runs underneath it. Ball goes out the back. Perryman there. A little fumble at first. Good enough to recover. GWS through hands. Davis. Then Haynes, who under pressure bounces his kick around the wing. Cornelio able to pick it up. Handball away to Hopper. Or Green rather, who handballs over the top. GWS move it inside 50. Lloyd in the forward pocket. Spears a pass to Tanner Bruin, who marks the bare 15. It was a low bullet pass. And Bruin has marked 35 metres out. Just slightly right of centre to try and kick GWS's second of the evening.
Still both teams fumbling and not quite as clean just yet early in the game, and just not quite settling early.
A nice kick from Lloyd. Tanner Bruin.
Ball doesn't look too wet just yet.
Pick 12 in last year's draft. Only in his 7th game, the 19-year-old comes in and delivers a beautiful finish. The Giants with back-to-back goals. They're 2 straight 12. Sydney 1-1-7, 9 minutes played opening term. Grandstand AFL. Brownlow medalist Shameway Woden and 300 gamer, at least until next week when maybe that changes. David Mundy.
Well, early, Perryman setting up a lot of play for the GWS off that half-back line. But the throw-ins earlier, Sydney are sending a half-forward up. It was Papley to the defensive cover winger for the GWS Giants, so giving GWS a +1 off the back, being Perryman took an intercept mark and managed to repel their last attack and drive this ball forward. So he's leading the stat sheet for GWS at the moment with 5 already.
Well, with all the changes because of the Tier 2 classification of a number of Giants and Swans players who went to the rugby, Tanner Bruin comes into the game, comes off, originally named as an emergency, gets his opportunity, kicks an early goal. Good start for him as the Giants win it down and they hack it forward by Flynn towards centre half forward, and then socked on again by Daniels into the right forward pocket. It's over the boundary line for a throw-in. A little bit of push and shove between Finlayson up against his opponent there as well. And Fox.
Always angry at the moment. Finlayson. Lots of argy-bargy from him lately.
Himmelberg against Hickey. Himmelberg tried to soccer it out of mid-air. There's a free kick spotted. He was being held. There didn't look to be a lot in it against Hickey.
Wrap the arms around.
Enough.
It's always the flip of the coin, those ruckmans.
It is,
when everyone stops and looks at the umpire, it's always 50-50.
He does put his arms around him, but there's not a great deal in that. If you were Himmelberg, you'd be thrilled to get that as a free kick. If you're a Swans fan, you'd be filthy. Looking for a third straight goal to start the game for the Giants. Himmelberg sends it on its way, starts right, swings back enough. He's got his second. The Giants have got their third. A nice kick from the right forward pocket from Himmelberg off, a questionable free kick. GWS won't care. They're 3 straight 18. The Swans are 1-1-7, and understandably, John Longmire is up and about to talk to his charges downstairs. Some early concerns for him with his opposition leading by 11 points at the 11-minute mark of the opening term.
Just engaged him well, didn't he?
Protected the space really well, But they're the nice little gifts you like as a key forward playing team, but especially early in a game. And not many better at set shot than Harry Himmelberg. He does it very well.
It's the value of centre square bounce clearance, just to get some territory, create a forward 50 stoppage.
I want the real GWS to stand up. They lost to Hawthorn, beat Melbourne and lost to Gold Coast last week. Now they're taking it right up to Sydney here today. Finlayson in the ruck, taps it down, follows it up, hacks it off the bounce to half forward and onto the chest of Bruin.
Similar to the previous one. Just through the front, quick kick.
So Bruin marks 51 out. Looking around like he doesn't think he quite has the journey. Gives it off to Perryman. Perryman goes short. And Kennedy marks 51 out here for the Giants. They lead by 11 points. 12 and a half minutes into the first. Kennedy just sets it up towards full forward. Himmelberg goes up. Hogan juggles. Hogan marks. He stayed down. Lots of flyers. He wants to hook across the body and bends it through. 4 unanswered goals for the Giants. And 4 straight goals to start the match. They're 4 straight 24. Sydney 1-1-7. 17 points their advantage. And they've jumped their crosstown rivals.
Well, if they get enough supply, the 3 tools for GWS and create a bit of havoc and a few headaches for the Swans defenders.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we've seen, things going their way at the moment. The early free kick, the kick off the ground straight to their teammate, and then Jesse Hogan, their 3rd or 4th in line, and they're quite hard to judge those ones and take, and the big man does a great job.
Is it something the players have decided to do themselves when they've gone out from the surface, or is it a coaching instruction from the Giants where I think 4 times now, rather than pick it up, they've just elected to soccer it forward, rush it forward at any opportunity?
Well, you feel like you're under pressure anyway, perceived as a midfielder coming out through that area.
Absolutely, especially from a stoppage.
Yeah.
Amati wins it down. Kennedy couldn't take it the first time. Was able to shovel a hand pass out. Wheeling around, this is Goulden. And spears a kick inside forward 50 off hands to Cornelio. Oh, not a great hand pass. Unable to get to it. Kelly the first time. Bell knocked it back. Amati looking to hand pass it forward again. Now tapped down by Hayward. Comes to Stephen. Sells some candy. He'll then chip it forward. Couldn't quite find his target though. Sliding out to take the mark. That's Taylor. Had it between fullback and centre half back for the Giants, and he'll steer the pass into the right back pocket for Kelly. He pauses to assess what's in front of him. GWS by 17 points, 14 gone in the first.
Where will Josh Kelly be next year? He sends it long to the wing, off the hands of Amati. Hopper able to row for GWS. Gives it off to Lloyd. Long kick to half forward. Hogan takes the mark. 45 metres out, as good as directly in front. Doesn't really push back with any urgency, but chips it on, and Lloyd has run on. Lloyd takes the mark, 30 metres out, a slight angle left of centre. And the man who really started it with the long kick to Hogan can go back and try and finish it.
Good numbers of that drop of the ball. Had good layers coming to front and centre. About to get through.
Which shows how dangerous those long round line kicks are, especially if they get over the back. They get a free run at it, a couple of handball receives, and get your forwards out the back behind the defenders.
Been good for a goal a game in 2021. 9 goals from 9 games. Will they boot the ball from 40 metres out? Slightest of angles. A low ball flight, but through the major opening. And GWS with a dream start in the Sydney Derby. 5 straight 30. They lead the Sydney Swans 1-1-7. A 23-point break up at Carrara on Grandstand AFL. Shameway Woden, David Mundy.
It's Fox, isn't it? On Hogan. Just didn't anticipate quick enough to engage back on him. And then Lloyd coming back through unattended as well.
Yeah, huge work rate by Lloyd there.
Absolutely.
Jesse from 45 metres out. It's a bit far for the big fella, so he probably knows that and worked hard into the space. You see Jesse here in the replays looking for options straight away, and as Ben mentioned, he wasn't hurrying back off the mark, but yeah, great finish by Lloyd and helping out the high-vis man fetching the balls. Just dropped it a couple of rows back for him.
Everything's a bonus at this point in time. It's way down by Marty in the middle. It's going to be held in. If you've just joined us, this game affected by COVID, not just with the venue, the third venue that it was scheduled at, but a number of players having to come out of the squads. Toby Green and Matt DeBoer out for the Giants. Bruin is into the team. Sproul will be the medical sub as the kick is towards left half forward for the Giants, and Himmelberg gathers it, tackled by Wicks. Can't get it free. It's wrapped up. Ball up the decision. While for the Swans, Callum Mills, Harry Cunningham and Colin O'Riordan all out of the selected side. James Rowbottom, Dylan Stevens and Ben Rourke, those players coming in. Umpire spotted a free kick. It's coming the way here of the Giants against Marty. Back to Finlayson from the logo. Commentary wing. He kicks to the scoreboard end of the ground. Into the left forward pocket. It's off hands and tumbles over for a boundary throw-in. The 21st Sydney Derby. And the Giants, they've won, well, pretty much most of the battles so far. Sydney kicked the opening goal. They've kicked the next 5. They're 5 straight to 1-1.
Marty soccers it out of the ruck. Comes to Josh Kennedy. Handball to Parker. Kick smothered. Ricochets away to Dawson. Gives it off to Blakey. Then on to Parker again. His kick dribbles to Haynes. GWS win it back at half forward. Now Cornelio jams it on the boot. Floats it to full forward. Comes down off hands. Florent there for the Swans. Handball goes to Rampy at the top of his defensive goal square. Loops a handball to McInerney, who spears it under the attempted smother and finds the chest of McInerney. Well worked by the Swans. He moves it on to Errol Goulden, the right half back. Errol Goulden actually played all of his junior football with John Longmire's son. So John Longmire's seen him play right through the juniors as the Swans take on the corridor. To Parker, who moves it on to Dawson, who spreads it towards the Nerang River wing. Here's Lloyd, 60 out, looking inside 50. Handball away to Blakey. Handball back to Lloyd. Chips it towards full forward. No mark taken. Heaney tries to rove. Knocks it out towards Florent. Gets a handball away. They clatter in. Spills out here quickly towards Wicks. Gives it off by hand towards a teammate in Hewitt. Centres it towards Buddy. Bell's there for the Swans. Gives it off towards Stevens. Off to the Budwa again. Floats it on goal. It's across the face and will be fisted through. Well, they made hard work of that, the Swans.
Bit buddy conscious, that one, I reckon. Bell in the goal square by himself would be filthy.
So, 22 points is GWS's lead. 19 minutes into this first term on Grandstand AFL.
0437 774 774 if you'd like to get in touch with us. 0437 774 774. Let us know where you're listening in. Who's your tip? At the moment, if you back the Giants, you'll be pretty happy as they look to go through Iron beyond defensive 50 towards right half back. Finlayson flew up. Couldn't mark. Spills down to Ward. Got it to Taranto. Under pressure from Kennedy. Wobbles a kick towards the logo. Swans take it through Rampy. Florent with it now. Looks to pop a hand pass forward. This is Dawson. Goes to Fox. Sweeps the hand pass to Blakey. Running by again, Dawson through the centre circles. Kicks the Swans towards full forward. Franklin stretching with the left. Couldn't quite mark. Lost his footing. Went to ground. Mopped up by Taylor. Kicks the Giants towards right half back. Bell dives over the football. It's there to be picked up again by McCartan. He was under pressure from coming This goes out for a boundary throw-in. Franklin gave it everything, got the left palm to it, just couldn't drag it in. Giants survived that time. Ball thrown back in once more. Flynn won it down, but it's straight to Amati. Quickly kicks up into the air. He wants Franklin charging out at the football. Couldn't mark it though. Courage shown by a pack of 4. They're able to move it away here, the Giants, through Taylor. He'll kick to space on the centre wing.
Bouncing ball coming out. Finlayson can't quite bend over and pick it up. He paddles it out. Throw in between wing and left tail forward for the Giants.
It's good by Iden.
You'd have heard the footsteps.
Absolutely, big Budwar coming at you.
Might have said he was coming too. Amati and Flynn. Flynn flicks it down, straight to Hopper. Gets a handball out towards Bruin, who gives it off to Josh Kelly on his non-preferred. Kick smothered. Now the Swans are able to gather it. Fox jams it on the boot, kicks just forward of the logo. At the back, Davis gathers on the bounce for the Giants. It's a handball away to Taylor. His handball's short. Heaney gets it back and wins a free kick.
High
Or gives away a free kick for a high fend-off. So it'll go to Isaac Cumming, boy from Broken Hill. 10 points of passing to the middle of the ground for GWS to Lloyd.
Lloyd switches it towards right half back. Can't find his teammate in Reed. Tracks it towards the boundary line. Gathers. Has a moment to assess. Dangerous kick. He turns it over. Looking to get it in towards Lloyd, and said Jake Lloyd got in the way. So Jake Lloyd, in the battle of Lloyds, wins it for the Swans, sends it inside forward 50. Good mark again from Taylor up against Franklin.
It's been good.
Big test. He's been tremendous so far, the 22-year-old. Kicks towards right half back. Big pack underneath. Hickey takes front position, got a fist to the football. Ricochets away and is out for a boundary throwing, just shy of centre wing. Narang River side of the ground. The shove from Franklin actually worked out all right for Taylor as he fell backwards, the ball landing on his chest, but he's provided a genuine challenge so far for the best of the best in Big Buddy. Throwing in. Flynn probably had the fingertips to it. Cornelio picked it up off the deck for the Giants, kicked around the body. Daniels couldn't take it. The spill's out there for Dawson. He'll move it to Stevens, who marks on centre wing outer side. Giants by 22 gone in the first.
Stevens goes short, gets it onto Hewitt, who moves it onto Parker. Now Dawson looking for a short kick inside 50, and offhands it ricochets out. We'll get a throw in at the junction of the 50 and the boundary line. GWS 5 straight 30, Sydney 1-8. 23 minutes into the first.
Again, I think he was looking for Buddy on the hit up. He could have knocked that over, I reckon, Dawson with his left. But a prestigious kick.
Flynn hooks it down, able to pick it up. Hewitt there for the Swans, gives it back to Kennedy. Kick smothered by Hopper, falls into the lap of Ward. GWS trying to come the other way. Cornelio caught. Incorrect disposal, says the umpire. GWS captain not happy with it. Dawson sends the Swans inside 50 for Buddy. He can't take the mark. Taylor gets a fist on it. Out of play it goes. A throw-in. 40 around from the Swans' goal. They trail by 22 points against their crosstown rivals, the Giants. 5 minutes to play in the first.
Update from Adelaide. The Eagles by 21 points over the Crows. Half an hour gone in the third as Kelly goes the footy. Got a hand pass to Reed, hand pass to Ward, straight to Hopper. Now Hopper's kicked this into Papley and he claims it's ricocheted off his shin, and he gets the call he wanted to. Ricocheted off the shin of Papley and over the boundary line for a throw-in. The officials will converge. Has definitely ricocheted off the shin of Papley. So quite rightly, he'll get the free kick of the deliberate, well, not deliberate out of bounds, beg your pardon, for out of bounds on the full off Papley. So Hopper has it in the right back pocket. Kicks down the outer side of the ground. No mark taken at the back. Daniels able to move it on quickly to Himmelberg. He kicks the Giants into the right forward pocket. It's tracked to the boundary line, and Jake Lloyd very happy to see it over for a throw-in.
And again, the ball slipping over the back of those contests, really dangerous. I think Sydney have deployed a +1 Rampy off the back now, who's able to pressure that one, force it wide at least.
Spinning it back into play. Swans. Ooh, Parker's kick straight into a Giant. Ricochets around. Gordon tries to get it. Stevens can. Worked it to Bell. Tackled immediately. Umpire says... What's he spotted here? Free kick going the Swans' way.
Another one.
Bell taken high. Dangerous tackle.
No, another high fend.
Yeah, high fend again. So it comes the way of the Giants. And now a chance for Isaac Cumming, who has only kicked 1-1 for the season. In fact, just has one goal in a 27-game career. It is a high fend too, looking at the replay. Lifts the elbow up and gets Cumming in the neck region. Isaac Cumming will kick from pretty much 52 out, just to the right of centre. He's given it a real ride, but he's pushed it to the right-hand side. Minor score. First blot of the copybook for the Giants. They're 5-1-31, Sydney 1-2-8. Will travel 26 in the first.
Lloyd with the kick in, short to the pocket. And Dawson, who has that wonderful left leg, takes a bounce, now uses it. A low ball around the Nerang River wing. No mark able to be taken there by Gordon. Though he picks it up, shovels out a handball towards Buddy. Gathers around the knees, goes back with the handball towards Stewart. Now Heaney. Heaney almost back on the wing. Stops, props, kicks on the left, inside 50. Taylor comes across and fists it out of play. Kennedy in a marking contest with Hopper, but Taylor able to help out. And a boundary throw in, 45 metres around. And the attacking goal for the Swans. 23 points, the Giants lead. 27 minutes played in the first.
Flynn against Hickey. Flynn takes clean possession. Gets a hurry kick around the body. Able to take it, Cornelia. Heaney picks it up, sends it deep back towards Franklin at full forward. Courage showing Haynes. Comes back, drops in front of Franklin and takes the mark. He's got it at full back for the Giants. Giants defence stood up to the task so far. Haynes beyond the defensive 50 towards right half back. Good pack up, no mark taken. Spills down for the Swans. Dawson looked to shovel it forward. Comes back for the Giants again, now with Hopper. Short hand pass once more. Hopper able to work it on to Bruin. He'll kick towards the top of 50. Himmelberg won it down. He'll knock it inside the attacking 50 again here. Taranto with the inside 50. Works it around again, and now to Kennedy, who marks from the Daniels kick. And Kennedy can go back and have a shot from just inside 50, and he's almost straight in front.
Look a bit disorganised behind the ball. Sydney a bit. Barra?
Yeah, the Giants got good numbers streaming forward, don't they? So they even had a couple spare forward of that one once Kennedy marked it.
Should give Taranto more credit for the clever hand pass, just running it along the ground when two Swans are in front of him. Kennedy shooting on goal from 49 out. He's straight in front. He's able to kick the major. The Giants, they're dominating the 21st Sydney Derby. 6-1-37 GWS. Sydney are 1-2-8 at Carrara. The Giants lead by 29 at the 29-minute mark of the opening term.
Statistically, it's all even really across the board with both teams. Entries are a lot more dangerous to GWS than Sydney, but I think the Giants are defending D50 really well at ground, or particularly in the air.
Absolutely. They're getting some good one-on-one looks long to their big key forwards as well. We saw Himmelberg in that play, Hogan the play before where they kicked the goal. And then, as we mentioned, they're getting really good numbers to those contests and streaming forward in a wave. So they're looking really dangerous offensively.
First goal of the season for Kennedy. Should go for a bit more musical theatre maybe, Ben.
Absolutely. He was along with Jacob Hopper. Those were the two there. As back in the middle, we wait for a secondary ball up after they all pile on top.
So what are they seeing again?
Frozen the musical.
Certainly not frozen up on the Gold Coast tonight.
Umpire puts it aloft. Hickey looking to slap it down, trying to come through his wicks. He can't quite. Now the ball spits out to the side. Perryman's handball out towards Ward. He's tackled immediately, just gets a handball away. Kennedy coming through for the Swans. Goulden clean. Gets it off by hand towards a teammate in McInerney, who runs to half forward. Bounces it inside 50 for the Swans. Oh, little toe poke from Franklin. It was Scarlett-esque, but Florent was pinged, holding the ball. And GWS will get it back. Was that intentional from the big bud there?
To not pick it up.
That little toe poke to his teammate.
No. Give him the benefit.
No chance.
You were trying.
Here's Iden looking to chip it short towards Hopper. He's able to mark it. Left half back. The GWS Giants. 6-1-37 plays 1-2-8. 29 points the Giants lead. Half-hour mark in the first.
Hopper, game 101 for him. Comes to the wing. No mark taken. The hands of Finlayson. Spills down. Dawson almost picked it up. Parker did. Got tackled. Lost it. Perryman affecting the tackle. Comes to Daniels. He's wrapped up by Hickey. Ball up the call. Three-quarter time in Adelaide. The Eagles by 21 over the Crows. 9-9 plays 6-6. Hickey at the back, won it down, but the Giants will get the clearance. Hopper's kick, well smothered. Goulden dived out, spills back. Hopper goes back to mop up to Flynn. Tackled by Wicks. Somehow got a hand pass away to Iden. And he kicks the Giants towards left half forward. Taranto can't drag it in. Hogan bursting through. Right with him, Dawson. Worked it inside forward 50. Canelio tapped it towards the boundary line. The umpire says we'll ball it in. About 35 out from the Giants attacking goal. It's been pretty much all GWS, at least as far as the scoreboard's concerned. 6-1-37 the Giants. Sydney a 1-2-8. 31 gone in the first.
Umpire spins it back in. Hickey wins the tap. The quarter-time siren wins. And after the Swans kicked the first goal of this opening term through Tom Papley, GWS kicked the next 6 and their second highest opening term in season 2021. 6-1-37. They lead the Swans 1-8. 29 points is their advantage at quarter time. The first change in the 21st Sydney Derby.
You've just joined us earlier today. The Bombers by 18 points over North Melbourne after North had led early on in that one. And then Carlton by 29 over Collingwood. They've just started the final quarter in Adelaide. The Eagles by 21 over the Crows. The goal kickers here with the Giants leading by 29 points for GWS. Harry Himmelberg's got a couple. Singles to Kennedy, Daniel Lloyd, Hogan and Bruin. While for the Swans, their solitary goal was the first of the game, coming off the boot of Tom Papley. GWS leads Sydney by 29 points. The final game of round 18, wherever you're listening on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and News Radio. This is Grandstand AFL.
Year 5, everyone else did their talk, and then I got up with my picture and I said, this is my auntie Juanita. She was murdered by the King's Cross Underground. And then I sat down.
It was 46 years ago.
Sydney journalist Juanita Nielsen disappeared.
Now Kieran McGee has started looking for answers.
There were killers. There were corrupt police. And there were people who wanted Juanita out of the way.
Hear Unraveled True Crime Juanita on the ABC Listen app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
So the strangest Sydney Derby 21 gets underway. Davis down at ground level. Handball away. Handball from Reid knocked down. Papley keeps going in the forward pocket. Sockers it on goal. Bounces it through. Tommy Terrific with the first goal of the match. It goes to the Swans.
Bruin gets around and gets a kick inside forward 50. Blanky going back defensively. Good mark. Himmelberg did really well. Stretching was able to drag it in. He'll go and have a shot. He's in the right forward pocket. Himmelberg looks to work it around. He snaps with the left and he can steer it through for a goal. So the quick response for the Giants.
GWS move it inside 50. Lloyd in the forward pocket. Spears a pass to Tanner Bruin, who marks the bare 15. And Bruin has marked 35 metres out. The 19-year-old comes in and delivers a beautiful finish. Kennedy just sets it up towards full forward. Himmelberg goes up. Hogan juggles. Hogan marks. He stayed down. Lots of flyers. He wants to hook across the body and bends it through. 4 unanswered goals for the Giants. Hogan takes the mark. Doesn't really push back with any urgency, but chips it on, and Lloyd has run on. Lloyd takes the mark, 30 metres out, a slight angle left of centre. A low ball flight, but through the major opening. And GWS with a dream start in the Sydney Derby.
Taranto with the inside 50. Works it around again, and now to Kennedy, who marks from the Daniels kick. And Kennedy can go back and have a shot from just inside 50, and he's almost straight in front. Kennedy shooting on goal from 49 out. He's straight in front. He's able to kick the major. The Giants, they're dominating.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
If you've just joined us, worth bringing you up to date with the COVID situation that has affected this game. We already know that they've had to change venues on 3 occasions, ending up here on the Gold Coast for the 21st Sydney Derby. But Swans and Giants players were forced to withdraw from this evening's match on the Gold Coast after visiting a COVID-19 exposure site in Melbourne last Tuesday. That was the rugby union test between the Wallabies and France. There were 6 Swans players and staff members, 9 Giants players and staff now in isolation in Queensland. Fox Footy at the moment reporting that the Queensland government told the AFL anyone who attended Amy Park, that's the venue for the rugby, would be required to spend 2 weeks in isolation regardless of test results. So unless the league can convince health officials otherwise, up to 7 players will be available for selection up until round 21. The players affected for tonight's game, Toby Green and Matt De Boer. Green was in the team. De Boer was the Giants sub. They both had to withdraw, while Callum Mills and Harry Cunningham were in the team for the Swans, and Colin O'Riordan was the sub. He had to be ruled out of the Swans lineup because of that. The players that have come into this game, worth noting them again, James Rowbottom, Dylan Stevens and Ben Ronk, who has become the medical sub, while for the Giants, Tanner Bruin, who's taken his opportunity to come in, he's kicked an early goal, and Zach Sproul been added to the Giants side. He is their medical sub. That's all the drama surrounding the game. What have you made of the game itself, Shane Woewode and David Mundy?
Well, they've been good, GWS, haven't they? Good around the contest. The hands have been pretty good in there. Better win the ball forward, but it's more their work from their back half at the moment, which is catching Sydney out too. That ability to win that contest down the line, get out the back and score from there. I think they've had 4 goals to zip from back half, so it's a promising start.
Yeah, they're looking really solid defensively and then able to generate some really nice one-on-ones in their forward half, which is really helping.
Crooked bounce to start this second term here on Grandstand AFL. Some of the numbers, the inside 50s, 14 to 11 for GWS. Contested possessions +8 as Flynn slaps it down. Hickey then receives it. It bounces back to Hickey. Now dragged to ground is Green, and we'll get another ball up in the middle. Umpire puts it aloft. Hickey slaps it down to Kennedy on all fours. Handball out to Hewitt. He's dragged down by Ward. Loves to get his hands dirty, Callan Ward. We'll go again, still in the outer of the 2 circles in the middle of Carrara. This time it comes to Hopper, throws a boot at it, kicks it up and down the mine shaft. McInerney throws his head back. Bruin emerges with the footy, kicks GWS to full forward, getting back McCartan. Nice mark from Tom McCartan. He's really emerging as a key defensive post for the Sydney Swans. His second mark of the evening. He was in the coaches' votes last week as he kicks to the back pocket and finds Lloyd. 29 points, GWS's advantage.
McInerney, a little worse for wear after a collision near the ball a moment ago. The Swans move it to Florent in the right back pocket. Hops it over the top. This is Rampy. Rampy down the outer wing. It's a nice mark. Leaping up into the air. Golden has it. He'll kick the Swans deep inside forward 50. Pack flies. Hickey was there. Comes back towards Davis. Davis kicks around the body but puts it out of bounds on the full. So again a chance for the Swans through Parker, who moves it inside forward 50 to Haywood, who marks. 49 out from goal, about a metre in from the boundary in the right forward pocket. Does he go himself? Will Haywood with a behind so far this evening. This is his second disposal. He's going to put it up towards the teeth of goal. It's punched through. Just a little too close to the goal. Giants through Flynn, happy to spoil it through for a rush behind. Sydney 139, the Giants 6-1-37, opening 2 and a bit minutes in the second term here on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital and News Radio.
Perryman runs to the right back pocket, kicks to the highway wing. Hogan goes up and drags in the mark. Hogan wants to move it towards the wing in neutral territory where he finds Finlayson. A new leading Jezza in the GWS forward line without Jeremy Cameron. On his left, he goes to half forward looking for Lloyd. Rampy and McCartan are there, and it's fisted out of play for a throw-in.
Again, Dean Rampy setting up a little bit deeper defensively to slow GWS ball movement. Was able to come forward and impact that one, but seems to be a pretty solid move since about halfway through that first quarter.
Been a very good player for a long time now, Rampy. Plays out of his weight class regularly as Hickey backhands it down, but it comes to Flynn. High ball into the pocket for GWS. Canelio underneath it. Lloyd with the spoil. Out to Kennedy for the Swans. Handball to Parker. Handball to Kennedy. He's tackled to ground by Canelio. And we'll get a forward 50 stoppage here for the Giants. They're 28 points to the good. Almost 4 minutes into the second term on Grandstand AFL.
Canelio stands next to Lloyd as Hickey won it down. Canelio gathered, threw it on the boot. He'll bounce it right full forward and then continue on its path and run over the boundary line for a throw-in.
He started well, Canelio, back into the team. And clean, work rate's high, which we knew he would. 450 pressure.
First game back since the ankle injury. In round 3 for Stephen Canelio, involved again. Gives a hip and shoulder to a Swans player to allow him to collect the football. Gave it to Daniel. Daniels on in turn to Kelly. Kicks in the Hogan direction. Couldn't mark. Lloyd had it stripped from his grasp. Fox did well. Gave it to Jake Lloyd of the Swans. Now to Florence. Florence moves short. Oh, the kick wasn't great. Couldn't find his target. McCartan looks to pick it up. Surely a throw. He will be pinged for it as well. Or McInerney rather on the ground. McInerney was the player who threw the football, and it's resulted in a free kick to Perryman, who points straight at the big sticks. And kicking from the left forward pocket to tight angle will put boot to ball. That's definitely a throw. I can't believe he was appealing from about 48 out. Perryman with the free kick, sends it on its way. He makes it count for the Giants and adds his name to the list of GWS goal kickers. Early stages, second term, the Giants take complete control. 7-1-43 GWS to the Swans, 1-3-9. 5 gone in the second on Grandstand AFL. Not what we were expecting, David Mundy and Shane Woden.
No, we mentioned before, but their forward, once they're getting it in, their forward pressure and Hunt is really at a high level at the moment. And then on the back of that, they're making the most of their opportunities. Yeah. Able to get a few free kicks in their forward 50 and kicking quite accurately for most of their shots. So really putting it on the scoreboard. And just as a side note, he's got the old physio tape taping down his shoelaces. You don't see that very often. The old electrical tape wound around the boot.
Very old school and country footballer, isn't it?
Very much. And they're ripped boots.
Bounce back in the middle. Hickey rises above Flynn. Lays it down for Kennedy, who tumbles the Swans to half forward. Bell can't quite gather. Here is Perryman with the boots taped up with the physio tape. Ward goes back to Kelly, who handballs back to Ward. He slaps it on to Perryman. Handball towards the wing. Coming through, picking it up is McInerney. He's driven into the turf in the tackle from Cumming. And we'll get a ball up close to the boundary line. Out on the Narang River wing here at Carrara. Flynn down towards Taranto from the ball up. Ward tackled over. And we'll get boundary throw in this time.
I can't stop myself looking at everyone else's boots now. Looking for more tape.
Don't mention boots after Thursday night, Barra. Dare I say it? Quick kick towards the logo, gathered there by Canelio. Gives it off to Daniels, who moves it to Taranto. Kicks the Giants to half forward, no mark taken. And then Canelio's bumped off his kick and the Swans have the numbers. Through hands, Florent Off half-back, kicks the Swans into the middle of the ground. Oh, they dropped the mark through Hayward. And now GWS through Kelly.
Kelly sweeping it all the way back. Moves to left half-back. Cummins on in turn to Taranto, and now moves it short again. The Giants looking for an option here through Kelly. From left half-back, Kelly puts it long down the line. Umpire spotted a free kick. Holding decision going the way of Hogan. Immediately puts his left hand up to appeal for the football. Interesting, a moment ago, Tom Green, almost NFL linebacker style, trying to just barge his way through a pack of players. Hogan looks to move it short. Marks paid to Finlayson. Again, looking for an option. Plenty of players inside forward 50, so he decides to go short again. It's to Ward. Ward still just shy of left half-back. On to Inden. Attacking point of the centre square at left half forward. Sends it inside forward 50. Big fly came from Flynn. Looking to keep it in for a moment was Fox, but I think he was happy enough to see it over the line for a throw-in. Still in the left forward pocket for the Giants. Marks inside 50, interesting. 6-1 in favour of GWS. The inside 50, 17-13 their way as Hickey palmed it down. Got it to Dawson. Met solidly straight away. 3 Giants involved. Himmelberger, big tackle, front on. Green, who shows that he doesn't mind a bit of that stuff. He's involved as well. And Cornelio from behind. Throw up in the left forward pocket. Hickey palmed it down. Comes out again to Taranto. He's tackled immediately. Umpire says, we'll be balling it up once more, will we? Yes, indeed. Throwing it aloft. Hickey got it down. Oh, it came through. Kelly gathers, snaps, misses. Wasn't far away. A minor score. 7-2-44, the Giants. Sydney 1-3-9. And we've gone nearly 9 minutes in this second term. Almost a lovely goal for Kelly.
So Dawson with the kick-in duties. The full 10 coaches' votes last week for Jordan Dawson. Kicks long towards the wing. No mark taken. Hayward gets it on the bounce. Kicks towards halfback, and Kennedy marks and goes. Sends it to right halfback. Here's Fox running off halfback. Kicking long in the Franklin direction. Oh, he marks one-handed. Loops a handball over the top to Wicks. Runs to 40. Shoots on goal and misses. It would have been coast to coast for the Sydney Swans, which is really their strength this year, their ball movement. What they do better than anyone else.
Bud didn't roll around his left.
I reckon he would have been calling for that one back.
Yeah.
Definitely. He hasn't read the old Budweiser 1-2 book.
One of his few handballs from his 313 AFL games.
Especially around the forward 50-yard.
Yeah. Coming, moves it to Tom Green. It's beyond defensive 50. Hogan wanted it. Into his back. He's able to spoil it over the boundary line. Dawson. It's off hands. Weird boundary throw-in. Worth remembering that Sydney kicked the opening goal at the 3rd minute mark off the boot of Papley. The Giants have kicked the next 7. 7-2-44 they are. Swans 1-4-10. Midway through the second. Ball put back into play. Flynn took clean possession. Hands it off to Green. Bounce back in the direction of Cornelio. Spills out the back though. The Swans have it. Nicely done. Golden got it onto Papley. And Papley kicks a goal on the right. Curling it around for his second. From about 45 metres out, he tells his teammates, time to get started. He ends a run of 7 unanswered goals by the Giants. Sydney at 2-4-16, GWS 7-2-44. The Giants lead cut to 28 points at the 12-minute mark of the second quarter. In Adelaide, 18 minutes gone in the fourth. The Eagles lead the Crows by 24.
It was Papley getting the hand in to knock down that handball from the Giants, trying to get out of that stoppage as well, and release forward and able to lose his man and get on the end of it, and we know how much he loves a snag.
I'd love to see Sam Reid there drive his legs and go through that gap rather than just trying to handball where it got swatted down to force the turnover.
He went to have a chat with Reid about it as well, as if to say, oh, thanks for that. I still think he's one of the most watchable players in the comp, Tom Papley.
I don't think he'd be shy out there either, Tom Papley. Amati rises high.
Bit of chirp, you reckon?
Yeah. Straight to Parker, who under pressure has to get a handball away. So it's a task for Hewitt. Now Marty trying to play tunnel ball and knock it through his legs. Taranto loses it. Kelly picks it up clean. Gets it off the green. He tumbles it to half forward. There to gather McCartan for the Swans. Tries to get it on the boot. It goes 3 metres. Bruin picks it up. Handball to Kelly. His handball misses Kennedy initially. Kennedy somehow gets a handball away to Cornelio. Goes back to Perryman. Back to Taranto. Snaps the Giants towards half forward. Lots of Swans in the vicinity. Lloyd is one of those, though he can't pick it up cleanly. Cornelio can. Handball to Kelly. Now he snaps the Giants into the attacking pocket. Bouncing ball. And out of play. We'll get a throw in.
I reckon it'd be frightening to play on, Papley, as a halfback.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't envy that job.
28 points is the Giants lead. The Swans with the last goal through that man, Papley.
Ball back into play. Amati palmed it down for the Swans. Taking it Green. Tackled by Dawson. Got a kick away, though. As far as Lloyd of the Giants, under pressure. Out to Amati of the Swans, who intercepted. Was tackled the ground by Hopper. It's going to be a ball up. Himmelberg leapt up into the air. Tapped it down to Green for the Giants. Went back by hand. Wicks couldn't gather. Haynes could. Nicely worked. Kick inside forward 50 from the boot of Taranto. It'll go over the boundary line for a throw-in. Right full forward. 7-2-44 GWS. Sydney at 2-4-16. Trying to defend at the moment the Swans. GWS looking to respond after conceding the last goal. Amati won it down. Himmelberg gathered. Put his head over the football. Tackled immediately by Amati. Coming the other way, row bottom. Ball still there to be won. Hopper emerges with it. Great tackle, Hewitt. Umpire says enough of this. We'll ball it up. 21 gone in the fourth in Adelaide. The Eagles there by 36 over the Crows.
Oh, Himmelberg's lost his headband. He's got the hair flowing. There's a clearing kick for the Swans. Sends it towards the wing. Heaney able to gather, but he carries it out of play. We'll get a throw in. 28 points. The Giants' advantage. Swans with 2 goals from Papley, one either side of a 7-goal streak from GWS. Finlayson doing the ruck work, brings it down to Ward, goes back to Finlayson, back to Ward, floats it towards full forward for the Giants. No mark taken, Lloyd bumps up, jams it on the boot, kicks the Swans back into the middle of the ground. Taylor marks for GWS. Gives it off by hand to Finlayson on his left. Sets it up towards full forward. Hogan coming out. Can't take the mark. At ground level. Spills out to Ward. Tries to get some space. Handball to Cornelio. Handball to Taranto. Floats his snap on goal. Across the face. Lloyd drops the mark. And fumbles it out of play for a throw-in. 28 points the Giants lead. A forward 50 stoppage for GWS in their right forward pocket.
Jake Lloyd would have loved to have completed that grab for the Swans. Said the ball spun back in again. Amati and Himmelberg. They had a touch. Goes to ground. Hopper put his head over it. Row bottoms there. Himmelberg tries to emerge with it. Amati gets a kick away. Taken high then was Hewitt. Daniel Lloyd got him a bit high. He wasn't happy about the decision, but it was around the neck. Swans. The fans in the ground are happy about it too. Switch of play on for Sydney. Hewitt to McCartan. Marks in the right back pocket now, and we'll just go short once more. Shares it with Jake Lloyd. Back to McCartan. Oh, the kick to the Florent. Juggled it twice. Couldn't mark. Knocked away by Taranto. Now a chance for the Giants to come inside forward 50, and Lloyd marks off the O'Halloran kick. And Daniel Lloyd can go back and have a shot. He'll be kicking from the left forward pocket.
The front half game in this quarter has been very good, isn't it? Just repeat forward 50 stoppage. Force some quick kick, win the ball back.
Already with a goal tonight. From right on 50, 45-degree angle to the left. It's a magnificent kick. Straight through. And the Giants have got their 8. GWS 8-2-50. Sydney at 2-4-16. 17 gone in the second term at Carrara. in the 21st Sydney Derby. 24 gone in the final term in Adelaide. The Eagles lead the Crows by 42 points.
Well, they've been threatening the last few minutes, haven't they? They've had the dominating the play, keeping in their forward half, and had some pretty good looks, but just a fairly ordinary turnover by Sydney there with the ball slipping through, an uncontested mark, and able to make the most of it.
Can't execute out of their back half at the moment.
Which is what they did so well against the Western Bulldogs the week before the Sydney Swans, and what they've done well all year. They didn't turn it over coming out of their back half last week. They only gave up 2 points on turnover coming out of their defensive half last week, and the AFL average is 28 points a game. It's back in the middle. Flynn soccers it forward after it comes to ground level. Parker picks it up, gives it off to Hickey, squeezes a kick towards the logo. Kennedy picks it up for the Giants. Handball too hot for Haynes. Going in there, Bell for the Swans. Gets it off to Blakey. Gets a handball over the top to Parker. Now McInerney, past the attacking edge of the square. Floats it on goal and dribbles it through. Well, it was anything but a perfect drop punt. But the desired result from Justin McInerney. And just what the doctor ordered for the Swans. Back to 28 points and they respond again. 3-4-22 the Swans. The Giants 8-2-50. David Mundy, Shane Woden.
Well, it doesn't matter how they go through. It's 6 points in the book, but the Swans really, really well out of the contest there. I think what the Giants have been has been their strength tonight is that they handball chain out of the congestion, out of the stoppage. And Swans did it really well there.
Yeah. He nearly fell off his shin, didn't it?
Question from Tim of Wodonga for you gentlemen. I'll get you to answer at the next stoppage. Has Toby Green not been in the GWS team made them less predictable going forward and then maybe help the Giants in attack? Get your thoughts on that. Next stoppage we get with the ball bounced and Hickey wins it down in the middle. Parker is out after it. He's been tackled by Ward one way, Taranto the other. Ball up the call. Thrown up again. One down by Hickey, comes to Parker. Threw it on the boot. Good kick for the Swans. It'll bounce centre half forward. Iden going back. Bounces off Franklin. Kept his footing. Gets a kick away towards centre wing. It tumbles. Trying to chase out after it. Daniels and sees it over the boundary line for a throw-in. What do you make of Tim's question? I'd have Toby Green in my team every week.
Yeah, I'm sure the Giants would as well. I think what the Giants have done really well is the way they're moving the ball, particularly out of their back half, making the whole ground really open, making every forward really threatening. So it's hard to cover everyone.
Flynn and Hickey go for a little waltz. Hopper on the bounce. His handball ricochets to Kennedy. Now McInerney for the Swans. Out to Parker. Forward handball to Hickey. Tries to get it back to Parker. Chopped off by Hopper, who kicks the Giants to half forward. Hogan can't mark. Daniels roves, kicks to full forward, trying to find Himmelberg. Blakey's back there for the Swans, a couple of paddles and out of play for a throw-in. Himmelberg thought he was held by Rampy, or at least impeded.
Mind you, their last two games, GWS, they've kicked 9 goals, 10 both weeks. So 8 tonight.
Well, I guess that's the point that Tim's making.
Yeah.
They lead by 28 points here as Hickey slaps it down to Taranto, gets it onto Ward. Quick snap on goal, and Lloyd's back on the last line. And he's able to mark alongside the right-hand goalpost and prevent another major for the Giants.
Jake Lloyd short to Blakey, who marks. Now he's at right full back for Sydney. 0437 774 774. We'll get to some more text in a moment. Blakey beyond defensive 50, but he's come a long way up the ground. Couldn't mark it, spilled down to Taranto, kicks around the body, inside forward 50. Blakey flew, spilled off his hands, down towards Bruin, tackled immediately. We'll have ourselves a ball up. Good tackling from Kennedy. Grant from Waterloo listening in again. Sorry to our Victorians, he says, our knuckle-headed removalists. Our apologies. I'm sure our listeners in Victoria are happy to hear that, Grant. Our thoughts with everyone in lockdown at the moment. As the Giants through the middle, Taranto kicks inside forward 50. Daniels, he marks in the right forward pocket. Blakey getting back, couldn't close him down in time, and he takes the mark for GWS.
the Giants mids at the moment have that really nice blend of handballing through the pressure, but then being able to quick kick when they need to. An example there when they were able to diffuse the pressure and get a deliberate kick inside 50 to a free forward.
Just 1 goal, 3 for the season from 9 games for Brent Daniels. This starts out to the left. It's going to stay that way. In fact, it's missed a lot. No score. Free kick to the Swans at right full back. GWS 8-2-50. Sydney 3-4-22. Closing stages of the second quarter.
Swans in their left back pocket. Rampy's kick out of bounds on the full. Or was it?
Yes.
No, looked like it.
Absolutely.
It was.
The umpires let them go. Now Fox kicks forward of the wing looking for Buddy. Taylor gets a hand in and sends it out. And he's doing a good job, Sam Taylor. People at GWS will tell you he's the most competitive man in the world, Sam Taylor. And
it's not laughing, Sam. That was so out.
He had the best view of all of us, that umpire.
Every day of the week and twice on Sunday nights. As Kelly emerges with the footy. Snaps the Giants to half forward. Bouncing ball. Blakey has to then beeline it with Hopper coming the other way. Taranto for GWS. Backfeed to handball to Kennedy, who kicks long into the pocket, trying to find Finlayson. He spoils it down. It stays in play. Now gets on his left. Centres it. Beautiful kick onto the chest of Hogan, who can go back from 25 out, the slightest of angles, and try and kick his second and extend the lead beyond 5 goals.
Just winning too many contests ahead of the ball too, aren't they? GWS. Sydney can't halve them at least. Exiting stoppage pretty freely.
So Hogan stutters in, puts it on the boot and pops it through. His second. And GWS lead by 34 points, closing in on half-time in Sydney Derby 21. Their 9-2-56 plays 3-4-22. David Mundy and Shane Woden.
And the way they're setting up in front of the balls, not giving the Swan defenders any chance to help each other. So we're seeing a lot of one-on-one contests ahead of the ball, and certainly when you can't even halve them, makes it really, really difficult.
Jesse all by himself too, which you find staggering.
I like the pure supporter text we get in. Mo from Canberra. Why couldn't Sydney have played like this last week against my Western Bulldogs? Not to be. Unfortunately, Mo, they were very good last week, the Swans. And the Giants ripping them apart at the moment. As Ben said, 34 points to the advantage. 9 marks to 1 inside 50 so far in the game. From the restart, there's a whistle. It's the non-controlling umpire that made that call. It's going to be a holding decision going the way of Parker for the Swans. So now they can go inside forward 50. Can they get a second mark for the quarter? They can't. Haynes won it down. Papley gathered. Might have been taken high. Here he was.
Did he duck?
Made the most of the contact and made sure that Sam Reid was going to be in a bit of strife if the umpire was prepared to buy what he was selling. He was. Papley gets the free kick. He's got both of their goals so far this evening, Tom Papley. Just has a little glance inboard. He doesn't fancy the distance, but he's able to find a teammate leading forward to take the mark. McInerney. He's right in front, and he's a little bit closer too. We'll be kicking from about 45. That was nicely worked.
I don't think that free kick was there.
Nope. So, Papley with 2. McInerney, the only other goal kicker for the Swans. Can he kick 2 as well? McInerney from right on 50. Gives it everything. Great kick. Terrific goal. A much-needed one for the Swans. As we close in on half-time, he cuts the Giants' lead back to 28 points. 9-2-56 GWS. Sydney are 4-4-28. 27 gone in the second on Grandstand AFL.
Not much Sam Reid could have done about that.
And McInerney here. I'm not sure he was the intended target of this inside 50 switch kick, but make the most of your opportunities. And the big fella went back and nailed his second, so it was a great finish.
One of 4 Rising Star nominations for the Sydney Swans this year. So Justin McInerney, of course, Chad Warner, Braden Campbell and Errol Goulden. And they've also got, who hasn't received the nomination, Logan McDonald, who might be the best of the lot. Exciting times for the Swans. Hickey straight down to Parker, to Kennedy, who kicks towards full forward. Big pack forms. Taylor ends up with it in his lap, but the mark not paid off hands. Now Papley going after it close to the boundary line and knocking the boot off Will Hayward's foot. And a throw in the right forward pocket. Yeah, it came off a lot of people, and in the end Taylor picked it up off the deck after the marking contest. Hickey slaps it in the direction of Hewitt, who has no pride but has it held to him. Well, the umpire says he did, holding the ball. So Josh Kelly to get the free kick.
He's pinged him for the old not making enough of an effort.
Insufficient effort.
Yep, didn't make enough of an effort to get rid of the football.
So Kelly will send the Giants towards the wing. Hogan, through his hands it goes. Himmelberg on the bounce. Handball to Finlayson. Now cruising by his green. He kicks towards half forward, looking for Hopper. Can't mark Florin at the back for the Swans on half back.
Hickey was sore after that last contest at left half back for the Giants. The Swan, though, is up. He looks okay now, but really was in a bit of strife for a moment. Ball's out of bounds, so we've got ourselves a throw-in. Left half forward for GWS. Got a knee in the back. I think it was Hogan. So from the restart, down towards Kennedy of the Swans. Got it to Hewitt, back to Kennedy. Gets a kick away through traffic towards Amadi. Davis is there, gets a fist on the footy and sees it over the line for a throw-in. Megan from Bendigo says, loving the call and the expert comments. Football's helping you get through lockdown. Spending my time colouring in at the same time. Thanks for sharing the picture with us, Megan. Glad we can keep you company. Thoughts with everyone in Victoria and New South Wales through lockdown as thrown back in, comes to Reid, tackled immediately. He does make enough of an effort to try and get rid of it. David, is it sometimes that situation where you're literally just punching the ball into your own stomach to make it look like you're trying to get rid of the football?
Sometimes that's all it takes, Clint. Yes.
Because that was never an ineffective hand pass. That was going to be from Reid. But there he is, busily punching himself in the tummy as Ward gets a clearing kick away for the Giants towards left half forward.
All on the ground, coming through Daniels, trying to paddle. Hopper picks it up, runs away from them, chips inside 50. Hogan drags it in with one hand. Sticky fingers from Jesse. And he marks 45 metres out on a 30-degree angle to the left-hand side.
It's been able to sneak a few metres forward off the ump there as well, which might be very helpful for the big fella.
Right on the range, you think?
Absolutely, yeah.
Side up by 28 points. He's already got a couple. He knew it as well. David Mundy on the money. Hogan sets it up towards full forward. It spills out towards Kelly. Snaps with the check side. Blakey tries to knock it on over his head through for a behind. It goes out of play for a throw-in.
He's got that distance, doesn't he?
Nah.
There, 45?
Nah, about 40, I reckon, would be his absolute limit. Yeah.
Thrown back in. Himmelberg took clean possession. Tackled by Hickey. Ball jarred free. Hewitt picked it up. Broke one tackle. Gave it away to Parker for the Swans. Spears the pass to Papley. Top of the defensive 50. Nicely played. Out to Goulden, who marks just shy of the wing. Narang Riverside. Shows a bit of candy to step around his opponent in O'Halloran. Moving on again. This is McInerney. Mark steps left, steps right, then wobbles a kick back to Goulden. Pauses for a moment. Sweeps the hand pass forward. Nicely done. On to Jake Lloyd. Kicks towards full forward. Hewitt was up, had 2 to beat. Couldn't do anything apart from seeing the ball over the boundary line for a throw-in. Hayward, rather. Good spot for a neutral ball for the Swans. We close in on half-time. Can't be long to go. Can Sydney conjure up something here? Hickey tried to take clean possession as he got attempted kick away. He couldn't work it out. It spills down. Oh, Tommy Papley soccers off the ground. He's got his third. Well, they've obviously been watching the Euros, the Swans, because from what we saw last week against the Bulldogs with Amadi, one of the great deflections of all time, and from tonight, they don't mind the socket goal. Well done, Tommy Papley. They do get a late one in the second term. Sydney moved to be 5-4-34 to GWS 9-2-56. The Giants lead cut to 22 points at the 32-minute mark of the second. Papley just swung the right boot at it and he knew straight away where it was heading.
Johnny up out of his seat. Big John. Bit fortuitous there. That missed handball to try and hit Callum Ward. Wasn't executed from Taylor. Was a bit unlucky and just been in the right place at the right time to soccer.
You knew he was lurking, didn't you?
He's always lurking.
And then moving.
Always.
I think he's an avid FIFA player, the video game, Tom Papley. I'd have imagined that, but Hickey picks it up after winning the tap. Now Kennedy, handball back to the big ruckman, Hickey. Handball out towards McInerney. O'Halloran wrenched off the footy. Hewitt gets it back to McInerney. Swans with it on the Narang River wing. Lloyd a high ball to half forward and Marty comes up at it. Haynes almost marks on his backside. Flicks it out to Davis. Cummings kick dribbles. Now the Swans back with it. McInerney sets it up inside 50. Parker goes up and marks right on the halftime siren. And this would be a big kick for the Sydney Swans if they could go in only 16 points down at the main break. That would be a win. In 3 separate instances in their second term, they were down by 34 points.
Leon Cameron's already back in the change rooms. It's filthy, I reckon.
So Luke Parker kicked the goal last week. Comes in here. He's a beautiful kick. And he's reliable again for the Swans. 16 points is the difference. And the Swans would be the happier of the two sides with that, you would think, at halftime. 9-2-56. GWS. Sydney 6-4-40. As Luke Parker delivers after the halftime siren.
What a fight back by Sydney. As Ben said, 3 times the Giants led by as much as 34 points, but it's 16 at the major break. The goal kickers for GWS. Himmelberg's got 2, Hogan with 2. Singles to Bruin, Perryman, Lloyd and Kennedy. While for Sydney, their goals, 3 to Papley, 2 to McInerney and 1 to Luke Parker. Good battle here. The 21st Sydney derby. The Giants thought they were going to run away with that. The Swans had other ideas in the closing stages of that second term. Quickly, some other scores for you. Earlier today, Essendon by 18 points over North Melbourne and Carlton by 29 points over Collingwood. In the late game, the other game, West Coast have prevailed. So the Eagles end a 3-game losing streak at long last as far as they're concerned. 14-14-98 to Adelaide's 8-8-56. The Eagles victorious by 42 points over the Crows. Let's get the thoughts, though, from our experts. Could be a terrific second half coming up. Shane Woden and David Mundy here with you on Grandstand AFL.
Game back on.
Yeah,
isn't
absolutely.
It? Oh, GWS had controlled that affair probably pretty much until about 5 minutes to go, where Sydney just kicked the last 3 through win clearance, centre square bounce, get some field position, and then obviously that last one there from a mistake from GWS. So on the back of that 10-minute work, they're back in the game again. I feel like they've got some hope.
Absolutely, yeah. The Swans' work around the ball really stepped up in that last 5 or 6 minutes, as you mentioned, Rowie, and I think drove their team and were able to, as you said, generate some field position and take a few opportunities and a few chances and made a game of it again. Pretty tight.
Yeah. They dominated play, GWS. They'll be really disappointed themselves with that one in that last 5 or 6. They had control, ability just to stem the flow, lose a bit of contest. And again in D50 too. So there was a bit of luck there with for GWS with, I think, McInerney's goal and Papley's, but that last one, better control that, not have that one get scored against, they'll be really, really dirty on themselves in red time there and allow that. So a bit unfortunate, but regroup, reset, have the break and get back out. But it's great to see now we've got a contest.
Yeah, and on top of that, I guess, not taking their chances in the first half of that quarter. They really, were able to lock the ball in and had some good looks, and even late in the game with Jesse's mark inside 50 and a few other plays. But, they'd be disappointed they're not further in front, certainly at half-time.
So here's the cliched question. How much of the COVID issues just before the game, how much does that affect teams? Because it's affected both of them. So both have had key players come out. Toby Green's been exceptional for them this year. And then for Sydney, if you instantly lose the likes of Mills and Cunningham, for example, it affects you on field. How do you mentally deal with that? Because, look, I know every player says, we've just got to deal with it, it's COVID. I get that, but would it have any impact on either group?
Yeah, certainly. I think the mental side of the game has more of an impact than the physical, things they've gone through with their bus rides and plane rides and hotel stays this week. I think that especially the last-minute mental, we haven't got Toby Green, who's been terrific for us and has been our standing skipper for the last few weeks. It would be huge on the Giants' minds. Maybe not front of mind, but certainly lurking in the subconscious. And similarly for the Swans, Mills and Cunningham have been really great for them this year as well. And so there's always doubts, and particularly when GWS are dominating that quarter, there would certainly be doubts running through the Swans players' minds, absolutely. And so I think that's what made the back half of that quarter even more impressive from a Swans side of things, because when you're down and against it, those mental demons start lurking and start talking to you, and to be able to ignore those or move past, acknowledge them and move past them and put in a performance like we saw in the back half of that quarter and get some reward on the scoreboard's a huge tick.
Yeah. And Kennedy and Parker stand up.
Yeah.
Your senior leaders in pivotal moments, important parts of the game, and that's what good players do and good leaders do. They drive the ship and get the result.
It seems the league is just keeping ahead of COVID at the moment. And so I ask you, Shane, as someone who has coached at this level, and David is still playing at this level, are we almost at a situation where, even if you're not in hubs, players have to sort of understand, look, this is completely unfair, but you can't go out. Like, if they don't make it official, you can't go and see other sporting events. You can't go out where there are big groups. You can't go you can't go and see Frozen at the theatre. Just because the likelihood now is, with the way that we understand the Delta variant, if we want the season to go ahead, because of state governments having to say, look, you are now part of a Tier 2 group, so you will have to spend 14 days in isolation. You could risk an entire group of players being wiped out, even if they're perfectly fine, just because they've been in contact with a large group. I mean, is that what they're facing right now? If you were a coach, would you get your group together now, Shane, and say, look, fellas, this is unfair, but this is what we're asking you to do?
Yeah, I would think so now. Without doubt, with where it's at the Eastern Seaboard and so many exposure sites, and the G being one of them, any facility in the community, it's all dangerous situations. So you'll be having those conversations now to heed and stay put. It's unfortunate because you've got to live a life as well and be social and enjoy that time and have that balance. But at the moment, for you, in your job and where you need to be and protection of others and the safety of others, you'd have to stay put.
The AFLPA is a pretty powerful body these days. One of your great mates, Matthew Pavlich, was the president for a long period of time. How would they go with that?
Yeah, it's obviously a difficult one. I think this week's thrown up a new curveball, which we haven't seen yet, in terms of players being at exposure sites and then they're coming out a few days later and scrambling on the back of that. I know the AFLPA have agreed with the AFL that when there are concerning areas or hotspots popping up, that we have a set of behavioural protocols which we go to, which are closer to a type of lockdown scenario for us in terms of social exposure. And certainly with not long to go in the season, I think it makes sense. And this Delta variant seems to be all across the Eastern Seaboard at the moment. So bring a hub to Perth, that'd be great. But I think certainly those conversations will be at the forefront of the AFL and the AFLPA's mind.
It's almost, you can't go to the shops, fellas. It's click and collect for you. If you have to go, we don't want you to say you have to lock yourself away, but it is a case of staying away from the larger crowds. So you can go to your coffee shop where there might be 4 or 5 people about, but you just can't go to the theatre or the movies or that sort of stuff. Which is, I know this is unfair.
And hindsight's always 20/20, but now upon reflection, there are still some teams who haven't played or are playing some teams for the first time, or they've played others twice.
Very good
Should
point.
they have not made you at least play everyone in the first 17 rounds of the season, so that if we get to a point like we're kind of at now, and you go, geez, we're going to have to condense this, or maybe we have to stop because the walls are closing in like it feels like they are, at least we've played everyone and we can maybe go to the finals, or we can move a little more easily than, where we still haven't played some teams. I would think, anyway. I haven't explained that very well. But
But what you're saying is they should have made sure everyone played each other once.
Yeah.
So if what we're seeing happen now, I take your point, hindsight's 20/20, but sitting here, it does seem to be one of those ones. Perhaps they could have made sure that happens, where we still have some teams that haven't played each other once.
On a floating fixture.
Yeah.
You can do that, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And we discussed it a little bit last week, but I think maybe one of the minor criticisms of the AFL off the back of last year is that they jumped too quickly back to, let's go back to what it was, game time, bring the rotations down or whatever. And the fixture, how it has always been scheduled, went back to, we'll keep days open, but this is when the teams are locked in to play each other in the 22 or 23 round fixture. So certainly I think that could have been adjusted.
And then another interesting point with tonight is I wonder how many more players or staff it would have taken to have been caught in this dragnet of testing for this game to be postponed. Like how many, what's the tipping point?
Yeah.
It's sort of what? 2 from GWS, or 1 from GWS really? No, 2 from GWS and 2 from Sydney. What if it's more? What if it's 5, 6, 7? So then we get to a point where we say we can't play this match today?
Well, I think from what we can, if you go through, and I haven't read the rules on this for a long time, but I have been a bit geeky on this in the past. If you can field a team, then you have to play. So if you
treat it like an injury.
Yeah, so they do. Players are unavailable for whatever reason. They're unavailable. If you can get 22 fit blokes in your squad, then you have to play. And if that means that the Giants lose Cornelio, Davis, Hopper, Green, Ward, Himmelberg, too bad. If you can get 22 fit players out there, your obligation is to still play, from what I've read.
But then if, in a worst-case scenario, when the game has to be postponed, when do they play it?
Yeah.
Well, that's so. If they postpone it, and this is the issue, the integrity issue, from what we're reading right now, this is the line currently from the Queensland government. Unless the league can change the Queensland government's opinion, the players who have been ruled out of this game will be unavailable until round 21, which means the Queensland government has told the AFL all those players have to spend 2 weeks in isolation. Yeah. So what that would mean is, even if you postpone this, then the next 2 games in Queensland will be postponed anyway.
Yeah.
Which I think goes back to the point that if you can field a team, you have to field your team.
And then there's so many issues out of that. Like, you look at Toby Green. You're going to spend 2 weeks in a room. Yep. Get a treadmill in there, try and keep some running fitness, maybe a gym ball, you can do a few core exercises, but not much else.
We better pause because we do have to, just keep up to date with what's been happening elsewhere. Just repeating this game, the Giants 9-2-56 to Sydney 6-4-40. We'll pause here. The game which is developing a little beauty at Carrara, the 21st Sydney Derby, and take the latest from the AFL newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. Authorities in New South Wales are defending new COVID lockdown rules with 105 new locally acquired cases in the 24 hours to 8 p.m. last night. Chantal Alcurry reports.
76 of the new infections are in Sydney's southwest, where residents of Fairfield, Canterbury, Bankstown and Liverpool can't leave their local area for work except for emergency services and health workers. Of the new cases, at least 27 people were in the community while infectious. The source of 39 infections remain under investigation. A woman in her 90s with the virus from Sydney's southeast died yesterday. There are 76 COVID patients in hospital, including 18 in intensive care and 7 on ventilators. Just over 66,000 people were tested in the latest reporting period. Today's figures bring the total number of cases since the current outbreak began to 1,242.
The New South Wales Police Minister says there's a small, noisy minority flouting the state's public health orders. 3 removalists who allegedly knew they had COVID when they travelled from Sydney to the state's central west have been given court attendance notices. They face maximum penalties of $11,000 in fines and or 6 months in jail. Police Minister David Elliott says people should understand the rules by now.
The Dope of the Day award goes to the 7 people in West Guildford who went out to play soccer yesterday in direct contradiction to the health orders and didn't even have a soccer ball. So if people want to push the envelope, they will join the 240 people who in the last 24 hours were given $1,000 tickets.
Victoria's Chief Health Officer says he's concerned about community transmission of COVID-19 at recent sporting events in Melbourne. 2 of the 16 locally acquired cases reported today were cases who attended the Wallabies versus France rugby match at Amy Park on Tuesday. There's also a new case which has emerged at Mildura in Victoria's northwest involving a man who attended the Geelong-Carlton AFL match at the MCG, which now has 6 confirmed cases linked to it. Authorities are also keeping a close eye on the Euro finals event at the Crafty Squire in Melbourne's CBD on Monday, where a positive case attended. Professor Brett Sutton says more than 400 people were at the venue.
We are concerned about the Craft Squire event. There will have been people there for a prolonged period of time. If they were eating and drinking, then masks will have been off. I'm sure there will have been shouting or, for the English, crying. So risk of transmission by virtue of that.
Britain's Prime Minister and Chancellor won't be self-isolating after contact with Health Secretary Sajid Javid, who's tested positive for COVID-19. Downing Street says Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak will take part in a pilot program in which daily tests will replace self-isolation. Mr. Javid tested positive yesterday after a meeting at Downing Street on Friday, and Mr. Johnson and Mr. Sunak have been contacted by the National Health Service in Britain. UK case numbers are continuing to rise ahead of the lifting of nearly all restrictions across England from tomorrow. A far-right UK commentator has been dropped by Channel 7 from a reality TV programme after bragging about flouting hotel quarantine rules. Katie Hopkins boasted on social media about deliberately trying to scare quarantine workers by surprising them at her door maskless and naked. Labour's called her a social media troll and says she should be deported, while the federal government's asking Border Force to review her visa. The 7 network has condemned her behaviour. German Chancellor Angela Merkel is due to visit ravaged parts of Germany later today as the death toll from flooding that's gripped northwestern Europe reaches 183 people. More from the BBC's Jenny Hill.
Angela Merkel will arrive in a region utterly devastated by these floods. She'll visit one of the worst affected areas, the village of Schult, where entire houses were swept away and pretty, tranquil streets reduced to rubble. Water levels across western Germany are subsiding, and the authorities say the risk of flooding is diminishing, but in the town of Euskirchen, southwest of Bonn, there's growing concern about a dam. Inspectors say large parts of the structure have come away and it's now extremely unstable. Villages downstream have already been evacuated, but the authorities were expected to ask more people to leave their homes last night.
And the Milwaukee Bucks have taken a 3-2 lead over the Phoenix Suns in the best-of-7 NBA final in the US. The Bucks beat the Suns 123-119 in Game 5 in Phoenix in the state of Arizona. You're up to date with the latest from ABC News.
Surprise! There's good surprises.
Oh, thanks, guys.
And bad surprises.
Make me the happiest man alive.
No.
Oh.
Like that. Look, go for the good surprises, friends. Good surprises only. Here's one, ABC iView. It's filled with jaw-dropping comedy, eye-popping drama, and heaps of mind-blowing television. Download the app now on your phone, tablet or smart TV. ABC iView. Don't be surprised if you're surprised.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
He's out the back though. The Swans have it nicely done. Golden got it onto Papley, and Papley kicks a goal on the right, curling it around for his second. From about 45 metres out, he tells his teammates, time to get started. He ends a run of 7 unanswered goals by the Giants. Knocked away by Taranto. Now a chance for the Giants to come inside forward 50, and Lloyd marks off the O'Halloran kick. Daniel Lloyd can go back and have a shot. He'll be kicking from the left forward pocket. From right on 50, 45-degree angle to the left. It's a magnificent kick.
Bell for the Swans, gets it off to Blakey, gets a handball over the top to Parker. Now McInerney, past the attacking edge of the square, floats it on goal and dribbles it through. Finlayson, he spoils it down, it stays in play. Now gets on his left, centres it, beautiful kick onto the chest of Hogan, who can go back from 25 out, the slightest of angles. So Hogan stutters in, puts it on the boot and pops it through. His second. And GWS lead by 34 points.
Happily gets the free kick. Just has a little glance inboard. He doesn't fancy the distance, but he's able to find a teammate. Leading forward to take the mark, McInerney. He's right in front. McInerney from right on 50. Gives it everything. Great kick, terrific goal. Hickey tried to take clean possession as he got attempted kick away. He couldn't work it out. It spills down. Oh, Tommy Papley soccers off the ground. He's got his third.
McInerney sets it up inside 50. Parker goes up and marks. Right on the halftime siren. And this would be a big kick for the Sydney Swans. So Luke Parker comes in here. He's a beautiful kick and he's reliable again for the Swans. 16 points is the difference.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Welcome to listeners throughout SA and WA. It's the Swans in strife. The Giants by 16 points. Sydney fighting back. Second half underway. Here's Ben Cameron.
Green shovels out a handball. Daniels taken high. Just clipped. And he'll get a free kick attacking edge of the square for GWS. Swans with the last 3 goals of the first half. Daniels sets it up into the pocket. Finlayson runs at it. McCartan puts his fist through it. Kelly Roves, wrong side for the left footer. Snaps it back on the right towards a good spot. Bounces down to Hogan. Jams it on the boot. And it goes across the face. And Heaney able to slap it through. A minor score. Ooh, just a little ginger getting back up on that ankle, Isaac Heaney, but he runs off. Seems okay. So 17 points is the GWS advantage. 9-3 plays 6-4.
Worth mentioning that it was the Giants by 29 points at quarter time, and then Sydney fought back to trail by just 16 at the half. At one stage, the Giants kicked 7 unanswered goals, and on 3 occasions in the second term, they led by as much as 34 points. The goal kickers, if you're just joining us, throughout WA and SA, Hogan's got 2, Himmelberg 2, singles to Bruin, Perryman, Lloyd, Kennedy. While for the Swans, 3 to Papley, 2 to McInerney and 1 to Parker. COVID controversies continue. We'll bring you more of that in a moment. Certainly affecting this game. A number of players being forced to pull out as the Swans go through the middle. Hayward couldn't quite mark it. Gathers in the centre circles though. Wheels around and then will kick into the right forward pocket for the Swans. Decent battle here. Hickey stuck out the right hand against Flynn. Couldn't mark. Papley can do anything. Runs along the boundary line. Hand passing the goal square. No Swans there. Met there by Taylor. Tackled to ground by Wicks. And he wins holding the ball. Sam Wicks saw Taylor but would not let him go. And he can go back and kick the first of this term for Sydney. They kicked 2 in the last minute or so of the second term to fight their way back into the game. Wicks makes no mistake from point-blank range. He steers it through for Sydney's 7th. And we've got an almighty contest in the 21st Sydney Derby. The Giants are 9-3-57. The Swans are 7-4-46. 2.5 gone in the third on Grandstand AFL.
That was crafty work by Papley there, the small forward in the pocket, just under pressure, couldn't get on the boot, but handballed it in a really awkward position, top of the goal square, and yeah, Wicks, a really nice tackle. Really nice tackle.
It's been good, Papley. 2 goals of his own and 3 goals of his own, rather, and plenty of energy. Now, David Mundy, I got a question for you.
Yes,
Do you know who the GWS media manager is?
Oh, I do. John Haynes, is it?
No. His name is Lee Mayrick. Now, I'll tell you why this is relevant to you in a moment as we get the restart underway. Matty Flynn might have hurt his shoulder here. Kennedy takes it out of the middle, chips it short to half forward, and the mark taken by Hayward, who goes inside 50, and Buddy. Now, Matt Flynn is in a little bit of strife here in the middle of the ground, his left shoulder hanging. Doesn't look good. Looks in a fair bit of discomfort as he comes from the ground. They're just trudging off. Oof. Not ideal, but Franklin will have this shot on goal. Arcs out to the left, as is his trademark, and puts it through the middle. Sydney with 5 consecutive goals. 3 before half-time, 2 to start the second half, and it's back to 5 points. And Buddy Franklin, 22 goals away from 1,000. 4.5 minutes into the third, 5 points. GWS's advantage cut to.
And we've sung his praises a little bit tonight, Taylor. He's been quite good on Buddy, but we know how great a player he is, and he only needs a couple of opportunities to spring up and kick, multiple goals really, really quickly. Been on the receiving end of it a few times, teams I've played with, so it's going to be a long night for the big fella. And Buddy gets it done on his big arc. I'm not sure how he does it, but he's so reliable now.
I want to know the Lee Murray story. It's got something to do with Subiaco, surely.
It does. He's actually a former teammate of David Mundy's. They played together in the reserves at Fremantle Oval for Subiaco.
There you go.
Long time. Blast from the past.
Finlayson gets a hand pass forward, taken by Tom Green of the Giants, tackled by Parker immediately. He's taken high.
When did you last play for Subi?
I played round 5, I think, in 2005. That's my last game against East Perth at Leederville Oval for a nice win.
Tom Green into the right forward pocket. Good mark. Up there. And gathering it, it's McCartan.
Played in a premiership in 04 as well.
Centre half back, yep. Anthony Jones is my opponent at Claremont that day.
McCartan into the left half-back position. Wakey marks. There's way too much discussions about Subiaco in this box. It's sickening. When it comes towards Florent, goes on a little bit of a run. Kick towards left half forward for the Swans. Hickey front position. Spilled out towards Tom Green of the Giants. Spun out of the Wicks tackle. Then got a hand pass away to Tarantino. Moves the Giant on to Haynes. Floats a hand pass forward. This is Davis. Davis for the Giants. Sent it back from whence it came. Dawson went up. Almost a good mark. Spilled out to Hogan. Hand pass to Daniels for the Giants. Moved it on to Green again. Then to Finlayson. Surrounded by Swans. Got tackled. Lost possession. Umpire says play on. It went to Taranto. Bounces a kick inside forward 50. Back there, though, is Rampy for the Swans. Moves it towards McInerney, then to McCartan, back to Rampy again. He'll find the safe hands of Kennedy, and Kennedy goes towards Parker, marks at centre half back, and moves it on to Blakey.
The Lizard going through the middle of the ground, gets it off to Hewitt. Flares his kick to left half forward. Hickey marks, steadies from 45, stabs it on goal, and puts it through. Swans in front. 6 consecutive majors, and they've come from 34 points down, and the Clouds, and they lead by the smallest of margins. 9-4-58 plays 9-3-57, 7 minutes into the third.
Composure in D50, the Swans. Through hands, and then the ability to hit the corridor, or hit Kennedy. I think it was Rampy hit Kennedy in the corridor. Then follow up to Parker and then get the overlap. With Flynn down now, that's a huge issue for GWS going forward for the rest of this game. I think he might just get a bit dominant.
It's the first time since the 9-minute mark of the opening term. The Swans have been in front. They've had 8 marks to zip in this quarter. Getting a clearance from the restart. Rowbottom kicks towards centre half forward. Bounces off Haynes. Spills down to Heaney. Runs the 50 out. Decides to blaze away. Franklin not happy. Thought it should have been put out in front of him. And lets Heaney know it too. No. Free kick to the Giants. Taylor will have it. Sydney lead by a point. What a turnaround. They trailed by 34 in the second. Kicks beyond defensive 50. Davis was up, couldn't mark, spills down. Bruin had it. Eventually we're going to have a ball up. The Bruin has been held. Kick against Finlayson. Gathers it himself, the Swan. Kicks inside the attacking 50 into the right forward pocket, but only to Perryman, who marks uncontested for GWS and will move it to O'Halloran. Marks in left half back and trots back inside his defensive 50. The Swans are in front. They're up by a point. Third term. Oh! O'Halloran almost dropped as he tried to get a kick away. Sorry, Ben.
O'Halloran kicks to a contest on the wing. Staying down, Hickey gets a handball away to Blakey. Off he goes, takes a couple of bounces. Now he chips it out in front of Franklin. And Big Buddy full-chested. A couple of bites at it, but completes the mark. 45 metres out directly in front.
You can't do much about that, can you? Steaming out of full forward, Bud. Great hit by Blake. He did a good take the game on.
Yeah, just backed himself there, didn't he? Put the Jets on.
Buddy Franklin actually won the medal earlier this year in the Sydney Derby. 5 goals on that occasion. He won the Brett Kirk medal. Boots the ball from the arc of 50 here. And you shouldn't be surprised that Buddy's put it through. 7 points Sydney's advantage. He's got a couple. 10-4-64. They lead the Giants, who have stopped to a walk. 9-3-57 is their score. David Mundy, Shane Woden.
Swans have really come out and started this quarter like they finished the first half. They're able to contain those long down the lines, which are really looking threatening for the Giants earlier in the game. And as we mentioned, the Lizard there just backed himself in, and the second time in a minute or two, taking them on through the middle. And doesn't get much easier than that if you're a full forward, does it? Come out into a huge hole and just have it on the plateau in front of you.
Well, a bit of head wobble too from Bud.
There he goes.
Countdown's on.
21 goals to go to his 1,000th. What a moment that will be. Sort of hope it'll be next year and there's no COVID issues, so everyone can join in the celebrations.
Storm the ground, you
correct.
think, Clint?
Masks on, storm the ground.
Yeah. Can't be doing that in these times. Sydney will go inside forward 50 again. Ooh. Comes out towards Papley, tried to shovel it through. Cornelio emerged with it, got it for the Giants, gave it to Taranto, back to Kennedy into the left back pocket. Kennedy will clear. Blakely, well done, going up to take the mark. Back into the right forward pocket, juggled Mark Haynes. And he has it for the Giants.
I think the last time we had the ground storm was when Buddy kicked 100 in the season, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah. Can be on defensive 50 towards the wing. One down by the Swans. Blakey has it. Stolen by Kennedy. Kicked straight into Hewitt. Great smother. Spilled down to McCartan. Got it on into Parker. He was tackled. Went to Tom Green. Gave it to Kennedy. Back to Ward. Ward for the Giants. Spun around twice before he decided to hand pass it out. Back with Haynes again. He goes to Iden, who marks in the right back pocket. And then chips a little bit further afield to be marked by Cumming. Isaac Cumming to Iden again, who leads out towards the boundary line, right where the 50-metre arc meets the boundary in the right back pocket. He marks once more.
Done well, Sydney. Close the ground out. Cover the exits.
Got one of the great nicknames, Connor Iden, as he kicks towards neutral territory on the wing. Fisted down. Comes for Lloyd. They sweeps a handball over the top. Let him mop up. He's Rampy. We'll come back to the nickname in a moment.
I love a nickname lesson with you.
Dawson sweeps a handball to McInerney. And now Stevens sidesteps a man. Run down. O'Halloran got him. Holding the ball. And O'Halloran will get the free kick.
So nicknames 101 with Professor Ben Cameron.
Connor Iden's nickname, Seek.
Seek.
Iden Seek. O'Halloran kicks to half forward. Hogan launches at it. Parker stays down, gets it off hands. Gives the handball to Rampy. Now merging, bursting through his Fox. He's bumped by Cornelio. Eventually gets a handball away to Bell, who's wrapped up in the tackle from Reed and taken to ground. So a ball up in the middle of the ground. He gets the Prez a little bit too, President Iden.
Yeah. No, I like
prefer
Seek better. Seek's much cleverer. Giants get the clearing kick. Tom Green inside forward 50. Good spoil from the Swans. Taken by Heaney now. Hand pass beyond defensive 50. Oh, bustling through. Good solid contest that. Kennedy gathered and got taken high. Ward rather. Both with the flowing locks. Taken by Parker. Hands it off to Lloyd. Lloyd from about 50 out. Kicks towards goal. Off hands. On the behind line to the left of the big sticks. Hogan couldn't mark. It spills through for a minor score. 9-4-58 the Giants. Sydney at 10-4-64. We've gone 13 minutes into this third term on Grandstand AFL.
Here's McInerney. Has been busy trying to find Heaney coming across and sending it out with his fist. So one straight goal is Sydney's lead. They've kicked the last 6. So Callan Ward, of all people, doing the ruck work, opposed to Hickey. Taranto over the football. Ward picks it up. Shovels out a handball to Cornelio for the Giants. Kicks to half forward. Looking for Himmelberg. Doesn't complete it. Daniel swoops though. Gathers on the bounce. Runs to 40. Low shot on goal. It's the wrong side of the post.
Good crumb.
Flushed that one, didn't he?
Flushed it at full speed.
5 points. Sydney's lead. Almost a quarter of an hour into this third.
Worth mentioning injury. Looked like a bad one too to Flynn. Matt Flynn, a problem with the left shoulder, landing awkwardly in the ruck contest, and they're already without Shane Mumford because of the back problem he suffered the week before the Giants. Ball's on centre wing. Comes the way of Taranto. Tackled by Dawson. Can he get rid of it? Actually had his legs locked as well. Appealing as he couldn't make a chance to get rid of possession. What hope did I have? Heaney for the Swans to Rowbottom into the right forward pocket. Franklin diving forward. Has he been paid the mark? Yes.
He turfed that?
That was the question. Taylor's unconvinced. The officials pay the mark to Franklin. We'll go back and have a shot in the right forward pocket from about 40 out. What does the replay tell us? No. I think he had it.
He's done it long enough to turn his back to the umpire, so he can't see anyway.
Good vision.
Looking for a 980th career goal. Putting boot to ball from just outside 40. It was never going to miss. A thing of sheer beauty from Buddy Franklin, and he kicks his third. The Swans push their lead to 11 points, their biggest of the match. 11-4-70. The Giants are 9-5-59. We've gone 16 minutes.
They'll figure 4 leg lock on.
Yeah, had the leg lock and an arm held before in Taranto, as if to say, I'm not sure what you expected me to do here.
Been watching the Sunday morning UFC.
That's right.
Yeah, getting some really good looks going forward now, aren't they? They're working hard out of the contest, and Buddy's been the beneficiary of that. 3 goals this quarter, some really nice delivery. He's getting his swagger going.
Yeah, he has. They're more isolated now, the forwards.
I'm going to put the heat on Sharad Wellingham, who was his housemate for a long period of time, to line up an interview for us here on Grandstand AFL with Buddy Franklin as Amadi out of the middle is wrapped up in a Kelly tackle. Kelly's hurt his ankle there too. It's not good hobbling. Josh Kelly set to play his 150th next week as Kennedy dribbles it out towards the wing. Picking it up, coming for the Giants. Turns back into the traffic. Will kick a low ball around the wing. Bouncing ball for Dawson. A couple of bites at it. Can't gather it. Kennedy bumps him. They both go in low. Fair hit. Now Kennedy over the football. Hopper over him. And a ball up, and Kelly's in a fair bit of trouble here. Has to be assisted as he's helped from the ground. It looks as if... What happened here? Oh, he just rolled his ankle on the foot of Amadi. His right ankle. And fingers crossed it's not the dreaded Syndesmosis.
Hurt his ankle a few weeks ago as well, didn't he, Kelly? Wonder if it's the same one.
11 points is the advantage for the Swans. 18 minutes into the third.
Zach Brown's just been sent to warm up as well, the medical sub. The Swans come through the centre wing from Jake Lloyd to Heaney, inside 450. Haywood juggles and marks. Had 2 goes at it up against Davis as he was falling to ground on his back, was just able to drag him to Sherrin. He'll shoot to the left of centre. He'll kick from about 45 out.
I know they had some momentum at the back end of that second term, but they've certainly changed gears again. Sydney in this third.
Will Haywood without a goal so far tonight. His kick is out to the right. It stays that way. A couple of behinds for him. Sydney move to be 11-5-71. GWS 9-5-59. The Swans by 12. 19 gone in the third.
O'Halloran receives the kick in at right half back. Stabs it back to Hopper inside the defensive 50 for GWS. 12 points is the advantage for the Swans. O'Halloran goes to Lloyd at halfback, gives it to Cumming. A good kick of the footy, free kick. He's going to go the way of the Swans. Himmelberg impeding his opponent. As Lloyd moves it back to Rampy at fullback. Now the Swans go up the middle. And Kennedy Marks gives it off to Lloyd. Mark taken, or handball received rather, by Fox, who goes laterally to McCartan and moves it on to the wing and Blakey. Chips it on the left to Stevens. Just forward of the wing, the Rang River side of Carrara. Sydney leading by 2 straight goals. Approaching three-quarter time.
Stevens kicks towards left half forward and turns it over.
Back on.
Flynn is back on. He's okay. Has the shoulder, the left shoulder that he hurt. Heavily straps. It's back towards centre wing. Himmelberg flew. Spilled down. Fox for the Swans. Shoveled it back in the direction of Stevens. Couldn't take it. Tried to get it himself. Hand passed it into Bruin. Taranto just knocks it along the boundary line. There for McInerney. Goes to Hewitt. Swans will work it around their half back to Parker. There's another giant down off the ball. As McInerney runs to the defensive edge of the centre square. Kicks to Blakey, who marks, heads to the outer side, and then sends it inside 450. Franklin came crashing into the pack, couldn't mark. Ball go over the boundary line for a throw-in.
Jesse, I think. Oh no, Lloyd.
Daniel Lloyd is the player in a bit of strife. He's in the hands of the medicos as we have a look. He came across in front of Blakey before. Marking contest where about 4 players went up. He's all right now and stays out on the ground. Kelly remains off for the Giants. They haven't activated the sub as yet. All back into play inside Swans forward 50. It's not coming out of there. It's been locked in. Tim from Wodonga's got back in touch. 0437 774 774. Okay, I was wrong. Toby Green as a target in attack for the Giants would be handy about right now. Good on you, Tim. Love to hear from you and everybody else listening around the nation as the Swans have got themselves a free kick. It's going the way of Haywood. And he can have a shot on goal. He's a bit closer than where he was a few moments ago where he put it out to the right. 2 behinds for the Knights. Freeze against Nick Haynes. He'll be kicking from about 35 out from goal. Starts in line with the left-hand goal post. Kicks on its way. He puts this one through. It's been all Sydney for the last quarter and a bit. Their lead is now 3 goals. 12-5-77 to the Giants, 9-5-59. 22 gone in the third on Grandstand AFL. Kylie from Daysdale says, "Hi guys, appreciate the call tonight during lockdown. Glad we could keep you company, Kylie." Clint Wilden alongside Ben Cameron, our experts, Brownlow medalist Shane Woden, and about to be 350 gamer, David Mundy.
There's his hands there, very clean. Whether he got pushed into it or he was starting to move through the stoppage, but one touch, through the free kick. Very good by Haywood.
North Adelaide product out of the SANFL, and they basically wear the inverse of the jumper that the Swans are wearing right now, the red with the white V. is coached by Josh Carr, who's now an assistant at Fremantle. As Flynn takes it out of the ruck, kicks it straight into Hewitt. He then goes after it at ground level. Taranto dives on the footy. Hickey falls into him. High free kick. Taranto wants to move it on to Hopper. Really? Oh, sold him into trouble. And now Kennedy wins it back here for the Swans. Sweeps a handball to Goulden at halfback. On that left leg, moves it out to the wing. Looking for Stevens. Stevens picks it up on the bounce. Takes a bounce now. Looks to half forward. Goes short. And Amati marks on his chest. Forward 50 swells with players. As Amati sets it up towards Franklin. Can only get one hand to it. Iden at the fall of the ball. Good enough to get a handball out to Hopper, who kicks the Giants beyond D50. Dawson puts his fist into it. Comes to Flynn, who goes back to Hopper for the Giants.
Hopper by hand to Perryman. Now to Ward. Spears the pass down the boundary side to Davis. It goes the opposite with a little wedge kick over the top to Taranto, who marks it right half back. Karen of Sunshine, wake up GWS, she says. 0437774774. It's been Buddy Franklin's quarter. He's got 3 goals in this term alone and 3 for the match. It's Hopper for the Giants. Kicks back down the line. Has that just stayed in play? If it has, it's only just. No, out of bounds. Leon Cameron has headed downstairs. John Longmire has been there on the bench for the Swans the entire game. And Cameron's had enough. Has just taken a little bounce before it went out of bounds on the full. So it's going to be thrown in. He maybe with a more telling tap. Toretto couldn't gather. Parker could. And at the Goulden. Back by hand to Kennedy. Right back to Fox. Spun one way and then the other. Got away from Tom Green. Heads towards left half forward. No mark taken. Dawson went up. Davis tried to get to it, taken by Hewitt. Kicks the Swans deep into the left forward pocket. Franklin! He's out there marking hard up against the boundary. He unselfishly looks inboard. He wanted to try and find a teammate in a better position. Still looking for someone. Now we'll adjust the pink boots. He's decided that it might just be time to show you what I've got. Buddy Franklin still hadn't given up trying to find a teammate. Now he'll focus on the set shot at goal. So from beyond the boundary in the left forward pockets. Wasn't that far away. He misses narrowly. Passes through to the left-hand side, but not that far away at all. And Kelly looks in real strife down in the Giants' rooms. So 12-6, 78 the Swans, 9-5, 59 the Giants, closing in on three-quarter time. And Sydney got themselves a free. Bill has it at left half-back. Oh, Franklin again!
He chips into the pocket this time, looking for Hayward, reaching up through his hands and out of play. So the last time when Kelly was injured with an ankle injury, it was a sprained lateral ligament. So it wasn't syndesmosis. Hopefully it's a recurrence of that rather than the very serious syndesmosis. Hickey slaps it to Hewitt, gives it off to Goulden, run down as soon as he got it. Bell comes charging through, gets it out to Fox, kicks to himself. Now gets a handball away. Parker on the 50, spinning, tackled by Taranto. Handball to Goulden, he's bundled off it. Reed comes through for the Giants. Now Perryman gets a handball back to Hopper. His kick chopped off there by Hewitt. Hewitt a handball to Fox. Handball to Dawson. Handball to Goulden, who slides into the high tackle. Just a little shoulder roll, forcing Sproul to take him high. Sproul into the game as the Medi sub, so Kelly is out. And Flynn's come from the ground with a sore shoulder again.
Surprised he came back on after the first incident.
So Goulden sets it up towards full forward, going back. Taylor, good mark. And Reed's hurt his knee now. Is walking wounded at GWS. 19 points Sydney's lead. We're seconds away from three-quarter time.
And losing players at the moment. Losing the battle on the scoreboard. They come up the corridor. Coming to Ward. kicks towards the logo. Just shy of that, it's marked by Daniel. He's in genuine strife with the shoulder. Flynn heads into the room downstairs. Through the centre circle to Cornelio. Cornelio plays on by hand. Perryman kicks inside forward 50 and it's turned over. Defensive mark taken by McCartan. He has it for the Swans and he'll send it towards right half back. Hayward at the back, won the spoil, going up Florent. As the siren sounds for three-quarter time, it's been all Sydney. It's been Big Bud's turn. He kicked 3, the Swans kicked 6, and they turned what was a 16-point deficit into a 19-point lead at three-quarter time. Sydney 12-6-78, the Giants 9-5-59. The goal kickers for the Swans, Franklin with 3, Patley with 3, 2 to McInerney, singles to Wicks, Hickey, Parker and Hayward, while for GWS 2 to Himmelberg, 2 to Hogan, singles to Tanner Broon, Perryman, Lloyd and Kennedy. Wherever you're listening on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital and on News Radio, this is Grandstand AFL.
For the latest sports results and stories from around the globe and at home, check out ABC Sport on our social pages. Just search ABC Sport wherever you scroll.
As winter turns to spring, it's time to look after your citrus, and the August issue of ABC Gardening Australia magazine has a step-by-step guide. Revel in pretty freesias and tea trees and find out how to work a bit of black magic with dark leaf plants. Tino shares tips for growing potatoes, and there's advice for West Coast rose lovers dealing with the curse of chili thrips. Gardening Australia magazine, available from newsagents and abcmagazines.com.au.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Kennedy takes it out of the middle, chips it short to half forward, and the mark taken by Hayward, who goes inside 50, and Buddy. Franklin will have the shot on goal. Arcs out to the left, as is his trademark, and puts it through the middle to Hewitt. Flares his kick to left half forward. Hickey marks, steadies from 45, stabs it on goal and puts it through. Swans in front. 6 consecutive majors, and they've come from 34 points down and the Clouds, and they lead by the smallest of margins. Staying down, Hickey gets a handball away to Blakey. Off he goes, takes a couple of bounces. Now he chips it out in front of Franklin. And Big Buddy full-chested. A couple of bites at it, but completes the mark. 45 metres out directly in front. Boot the ball from the arc of 50 here. And you shouldn't be surprised that Buddy's put it through.
Heaney for the Swans to Rowbottom into the right forward pocket. Franklin diving forward. Has he been paid the mark? Yes. Just outside 40. It was never going to miss. A thing of sheer beauty from Buddy Franklin. And he kicks his third.
And Marty out of the middle. He was wrapped up in a Kelly tackle. Kelly's hurt his ankle there too. It's not good hobbling. Kelly's in a fair bit of trouble here. Has to be assisted as he's helped from the ground.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
Results earlier today, the Bombers by 18 over North. For the moment at least, it means Essendon are into the top 8. Carlton beat Collingwood by 29 points. And in the final game of the round, Adelaide, of course, it was the Eagles by 42 over the Crows. Here at Carrara, Sydney lead, and they lead by 19 points. Who would have thought that when the Giants led by 34 points at the 25-minute mark of the third term? Always back in self-interest. You know it's trying, which means I enjoyed this from Wayne on the text line, 0437 774 774. I knew I'd get it eventually. Wayne from Adelaide. I've been a Bombers supporter for 40 years plus. I never thought I'd ever say, go you Swans. They're doing it for you at the moment. What did you make of things? Shane Woden, David Mundy on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, Sydney that quarter were able to control the ball a lot better, particularly out of their back half, and they looked really assured and safe in their back half. They were able to win the ball back and whether it was then through quick ball movement through the corridor a few times, or they're able just to march the ball up through kick mark along the wing in a methodical approach. They're able to control the game through owning the football for a long period of that quarter.
Did GWS play two straight that quarter? I reckon for the listeners last, I think GWS have to change lanes a bit, get it to the open side. And because I just felt they were playing two straight, long down the line. And we saw there, I think Sydney about to nullify a lot of those attacks, win that ground ball, and better go back at the Giants. So I'd like them to see this quarter at least, really flick it around and take Sydney on the other side of the ground.
Yeah, it certainly felt like it. Particularly late in that quarter, they were trying to blast their way through a little bit, taking advantages and playing on from free kicks really quickly and turning the ball over as a result. So
some of the key numbers up to three-quarter time. Sydney 35 inside 50s to GWS 34. 10 marks inside 50 to GWS. Sydney 8. Clearances 32 apiece. Contested possessions, GWS are actually plus 11 in that area. Leading ball winners on the ground, Luke Parker with 25. 24 for Josh Kennedy for GWS. Taranto 22. Josh Kelly, who's off the ground with that ankle injury, subbed out of the game with that ankle injury, 19 disposals. And Matt Flynn has had his shoulder pop out twice. So I'm not sure we'll see him again. No. Finlayson in the ruck to start this fourth.
Up against Hickey, and it's Hickey who wings it down, but Finlayson just punches it forward. Heaney first to react for the Swans. Gathers at defensive edge of the centre circles, kicks inside forward 50. Going up, good Mark Haynes. Defensively for the Giants, who desperately needs something early on in this turn. He hands it off to Perryman. Perryman kicks towards right half back, knocked over the boundary line. Nicely done by the Swans through McInerney to see it out for a neutral ball. A reminder, if you've just joined us, this game was hit by more COVID issues. Toby Green missing the game, one of 9 Greater Western Sydney players and staff to be classified as a Tier 2 contact at the recent Wallabies France game in Melbourne. 6 Sydney players were affected as well. We'll go through those that couldn't participate today in a moment as Papley has it across half forward, hands it off again to Heaney. Heaney goes by hand once more to Golden, back to Papley. Papley tries to get away from 2 Giants, now forced a hand pass. He pops it to Jake Lloyd. Jake Lloyd for the Swans, kicks to full forward. Spoil came from the front from Ward. Perryman's back there, last line of defence, gathers in the goal square, kicks quickly, almost turned over. Doing well was Daniel Lloyd, punched it down to Himmelberg, and Himmelberg will kick down the commentary wing.
Hogan marks. Now he just waits for players to stream by. Chips it short to Taranto. 2019 best and fairest for GWS. Taranto comes infield. Low down, it's marked by Ward, who wants to get the ball moving. Handball to Kennedy. There's a free kick. It'll be inside 50. It'll go to Finlayson. 25 out on a 30-degree angle. Right side for the left footer, who's going to kick the banana. Hasn't hit the scoreboard today, Finlayson. But he gives the Giants the much-needed first of the fourth. Back to 13 points. 10-5-65 the Giants. Sydney 12-6-78. 2 minutes into the fourth. Shane Woden and David Mundy.
Yeah, not sure what that one was for just yet. Not whether Hickey took him or was a handover.
It's a little hold against Fox, I think. Have a look here.
Oh,
the littlest, tiniest of holds.
That one, but it looks like Finlayson's doing the centre squares, and then Sproul's coming up doing the around the ground stoppages. So should be red alert for the GWS mids. I don't think they'll be expecting many hits to advantage from their ruckman, unfortunately.
Ends a run of 9 unanswered goals by the Swans. Wasn't enough of a hold that would see a poster stick on your wall, but nevertheless it was awarded as the Swans get the ball away. And here it kicks towards Hayward, who marks it right half forward for them. Hayward moving it again, leaping up into the air. This is a nice mark here by Papley.
Lost connection at centre bounce there, the Giants.
Papley towards right full forward. Franklin out after it. Couldn't mark. Players pile on top. Umpires spotted a free kick. It's going the Giants' way. Out of all of that, chaos in the ruck contest. Davis receives the free kick. The hand pass was to Cumming, but he dropped it. Had time to regather up against the Marty. Hand passes to Davis again and goes right back to Haynes. Had to be sure of it. Took the mark under pressure. Now to Ward. Stepped inside his opponent in Florent, and he'll kick towards the commentary wing.
Great kick too. Able to find Himmelberg, who goes quickly into the forward pocket. Daniels, he drops the mark. The chest mark running back with the flight and fumbles it out to force a throw in.
So those changes, by the way, Toby Green and Matt DeBoer. Green was playing. DeBoer was supposed to be the sub. Had to come out of the game. While Callum Mills, Harry Cunningham were in the team for the Swans, and O'Riordan was the sub. He had to be coming out of the game as well.
Hickey takes it out of the ruck, gives it to Goulden, kicks the Swans to the wing. Marty brings it to ground. Parker able to gather. Good kick. Infield to the defensive point of the square, and Hewitt finished third in the Swans' best and fairest. A couple of years ago, George Hewitt hasn't quite had the same consistency since as he goes to Rampy by foot. Rampy's kick tad lazy, but Fox able to mop it up on the bounce and send it to Lloyd at right half back. 13 points the Swans' advantage. 5 minutes into the fourth, 21st Sydney Derby.
Jake Lloyd kicks down the outer side. Heaney, good mark, just forward of the wing. Narang River side. Kicks towards centre half forward. Coming out to it, Marty up against Davis. There's a whistle on the play. Umpire, I think, has spotted this for the Giants. Yes. We'll come back to Davis. So into the team for the Swans, James Rowbottom and Dylan Stevens. Ben Ronk came in as the medical sub. And the changes for the Giants, Tanner Bruin came into the starting 22, and Zach Spruill, who's now playing as the medical sub for Kelly, came into the side as well. So it could have been worse with those players affected as now Tier 2 contacts from the rugby in Melbourne earlier in the week. The Swans have it on centre wing. Hickey to Rampy, who marks. Commentary side of the logo. Thought about going short. Decides not to. Will go back and again get told he has to move it on. Thumps it with the left. Into the left forward pocket. Franklin was there. Taylor went up. Couldn't mark. Spills down for the Giants. Sproul. Davis to Kennedy. Genuine pressure coming here on Perryman. The Swans win it over. It comes down to Papley. Papley to Wicks. Wicks from full forward. Snaps around the body with the right and puts it through for his seconds. A turnover has been so costly here for GWS. Sydney have put their lead out to 19 points. The Swans 13-6-84 to the Giants 10-5-65. 6 gone in the last.
And again, it's that trying to handball through the pressure, not taking the tackler and then trying to dispose of it to your teammate, absorbing that pressure. They're trying to handball through it and they get battered down and away. And we've mentioned it a few times, but give Papley a chance inside full 50 and sets up the handball here, but they don't need any better opportunities than that, do they?
Terrific pressure from Bell, and then the follow-up after Perryman turned it over. Parker been able to move it on to Papley, who didn't blaze away himself.
Would have been probably within his rights.
Absolutely.
Wicks was in a slightly better position. Very unselfish from Tom Papley as at the restart, Rowbottom. It's a handball away to Hewitt, who gives it to Florent. He flares it out towards the wing. O'Halloran brings it down to ground level. Heaney slides in. Goes through the legs of O'Halloran, who drags it back in. Standing up, McInerney trying to get it out. Ball does jar free eventually. Out towards Green on the wing. Now the Giants have the numbers. O'Halloran kicks on the left. A high ball to half forward. Blakey goes up. Can't quite complete it. Daniels at ground level. Gets a handball away. Blakey goes in again. And now Fox. His handball to Rowbottom, who spins. Gets a handball away. And now O'Halloran's taken in a big Heaney tackle, holding the ball. Maybe showing a little bit of that rugby league background there, Isaac Heaney, with that tackle. As he kicks towards the wing, and Parker drags in the mark. 19 points Sydney's advantage, 13-6-84. Plays 10-5-65. 8.5 travelled in the fourth.
Parker stabs it forward. Finds Goulden. Decides rather than go down the line, send it right back from marked by McCartan in the centre square, and a switch of play to the logo commentary wing for the Swans. Rampy marks and plays on off a step towards left half 40. Wants Franklin charging out, crashed into the back of Haynes. Ball hits the deck. Stevens tried to work it on to Franklin, who then taps it back to Florent. Hand pass for the Swans to Stephen. Goes again by hand to Blakey. Pops it up in the air to Florent. Florent will send it right back to the logo. And they'll start again here. McCartan, the kick into the middle of the ground to Dawson from the centre square to the outer edge of the square. It comes to Fox, and off a step he'll move it on to McInerney. McInerney into the right forward pocket. Hayward went up, couldn't mark, spills out the back. Great tackling, Franklin. He wrapped up his Giants opponent in Taylor. Took him over the boundary line. It'll be a throw-in. Swans almost doing as they like at the moment. They lead by 19 points, 9 gone in the last.
Hickey and Sproul. Hickey takes it out of the ruck. Gives a handball away to Hewitt, who sets it up to the pocket. Buddy going back with the flight. Doing a good job, Taylor, able to stand his ground and take the overhead mark. Taylor will kick back towards the wing. Callum Ward claims it. Now kicks it out in front of Taranto. It'll sit up for him on the bounce. He's tackled quickly, though, by McInerney. Dispossessed, and Rampy picks it up, sends the Swans back the other way. Here's Heaney forward of the wing. Comes infield to Parker. Parker lowers the eyes and stabs it to Bell. The marks on his chest, 48 metres out. As good as directly in front. Going back as if he'll kick for goal. James Bell. Only 1 goal, 1 on the season. This is 9th game. A good-looking kick here goes to the goal square, and Taylor again marks on the last line for the Giants. Sydney by 19 points.
Coming beyond defensive 50. Daniel Lloyd couldn't mark. Tried to drag it in with the right arm. It came out to Himmelberg. Well tackled straight away. Ball jars out. Stevens shovels it forward for the Swans. Row bottom in hot pursuit. Cornelio did really well, tapped it down, and then it was socketed forward off the deck by the Giants. Anywhere would have done. Instead, it's turned over and taken again by McCartan, who's been very busy of late. Into his defensive 50. Finds McInerney for the Swans. Thumps it towards the wing. Orang River side. Heaney gathers the bouncing Sherrin. Stabs it short. Nicely worked onto Hayward. Hayward thought about going down the line. He looks inboard to the centre square. Left arm heavily strapped. Takes a couple of steps, then stops. And now will get a kick away. Finds a teammate who can mark in Fox. Fox turns. There's no one in front of him, so he goes on a short run, puts it into the right forward pocket. Franklin had a go at it, couldn't mark. Down to Papley. Papley from right full forward. Remarkable. Oh, that's breathtaking skill as he runs it along the ground to kick his fourth. He was right up against the line, and he knew only one thing. I'm going to kick a beauty, and he's done so. Just high fives everyone on the way through.
He knows how good it was too, doesn't he?
Very nice one.
Get around me, boys.
There's only one thing he could have done better, which was in Adelaide last season when he went and high-fived the imaginary crowd. Oh, yeah. Still one of the great goal celebrations. The Swans 14-6-90 to the Giants 10-5-65. The Swans by 25 points, 13 gone in the last. That's just miraculous.
Just automatic almost from that pocket, isn't it? No time to think. You just put it on the boot. And in these kind of conditions, slippery conditions, to get that bite in the goal square, it's not a bad execution.
Straight to the phone. Good goal, wasn't it, Coach? Yep. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Show that in the meeting this week.
I reckon he'd be a pest in the locker room. Tom Papley, though.
Most small forwards are.
Yeah. As GWS get the clearance to half forward. Coming out McInerney, soccers it to his own advantage. Soccers it again, unintentionally the second time. Over the boundary line, and we'll get a throw in.
You'd like it never be safe, would it?
No. but almost a barometer guy with his energy, isn't he? There's Hickey down to Kennedy, who had one arm pinging the Taranto tackle.
50.
And he'll get 50 Taranto because, was it Florent or Goulden who socketed it away?
Florent.
So Florent gives away the 50-metre penalty. Both were in the vicinity, but it was Florent, the offending party. And now Taranto in goal-scoring range, and the Giants need it if they're to have a sniff here. 25th disposal coming up for Tim Taranto. From just inside 50, starts it out left. It won't be through the major opening. And offhands, it's through for a minor score. Or did it hit the behind post? Offhands, it did. So we'll get a throw-in the left forward pocket for the Giants. Margin remains 25 points the way of the Swans.
Ball back into play. Amati up, won it down, straight to Tom Green. Couldn't work out a kick. And Hewitt did well for the Swans. Gathered, emerged with it, sent it towards right half back. Iden couldn't gather. Haywood got a hand pass out. Did he get a shove in the back? He did. He'll get the free kick. Looks back inboard with the pass. Only jumps far enough to be a mark to McInerney. Swans happy to slow things down for a moment. One of our correspondents says the Papley goal, the reaction of the ball boy was priceless behind the goal. Looked like we did in the commentary box. It was like, what on earth has Papley just done? Massini gets a wobbly kick away towards right half forward. Goulden passes it by hand in the direction of Rowbottom. Couldn't take it cleanly. Gathered again, shoveled it out to Stevens, then to Haywood. He'll chip back inside forward 50. Going up, Fox had 3 goes to mark. Couldn't drag it in. Kennedy on the deck for the Giants. Gave it away to Taranto, who thumps it towards the Nerang River wing.
McInerney wins the 50-50 contest. Gives it to Rowbottom. Sets it up to Franklin. Taylor's on the deck. 10 metres behind Buddy. And Franklin marks unopposed. 15 out, plumb in front.
Is it the old push? The big boys use his chest.
That's what the bench press is for, isn't it,
That's right, mate.
Yep. Gave him a shove and lost his equilibrium. But he doesn't as he whacks it through. 4 for Buddy. It'll be 4 points for the Swans, you would think. They lead by 31. 15-6, 96 plays 10-5, 65 over their crosstown rivals, the GWS Giants.
He's just lit up the second half, hasn't he, Buddy? He's looked so dangerous. He's obviously got some great supply and delivery in that third quarter in particular, but he's taken some really great marks tonight, looking really strong and athletic, so he's looking very dangerous. And McInerney as well, off the half-back line.
Good.
He's looking very good, looking very assured, ball in hand, and a big run-down tackle before on Taranto to stop a Giants thrust forward, so he's been very important.
Taylor can hold his head high too, I think. Even that supply in that third where he's getting laced out, he was right on him. Just had to hit up space, but just unfortunate.
Finlayson wins the tap. Down to Tom Green. Kicks the Giants up into the air and inside forward 50. Flying was McCartan. Got it down, but it spills to Daniels. Daniels kicks around the body. He wanted Himmelberg. Bounced off his head. Took a touch on the way through to him. Had a second go. Gathers, spins, snaps. Goals. Maybe they're not cooked just yet, those in the charcoal. Himmelberg's got his third. The Giants with their 11th. Sydney 15-6, 96. GWS 11-5, 71. It's a 25-point margin in favour of the Swans, though. 18 gone in the last.
Not charcoal just yet, you reckon, Clint?
No, I don't mind that. I actually really do like the 2 jumpers out there.
Yeah. That's their best strip, GWS.
Yeah, it's
that I've seen their time.
Yep. If you've just joined us and you weren't here when we described them at the start, it's the full charcoal kit, the G on the front in thin orange, and then the big orange numbers on the back. But the Giants look good, and the Swans in their heritage strip, the old South Melbourne strip with the proper V at the front on the white jumper and the red shorts. There's no jumper clash this evening, which is always something to celebrate.
Crooked bounce in the middle. The umpire will call it back. It was a great theme for Sydney. They were going to wear their Heritage South Melbourne jumper for the rest of the year, given they thought they were going to be in Melbourne for the rest of the year, but they've been relocated up onto the Gold Coast. Kennedy shovels out a handball towards Parker. Marty picks it up, flicks a handball to Rowbottom, pierces a low pass onto the chest of Wicks. He goes short, kicks it into the man on the mark, Cumming. He gives it off by hand to Haynes for GWS. Now Daniels, the little man in congestion, takes a bounce. His feet were going too fast, almost lost his balance. Now gets it back from Cumming. His kick smothered. Ricochets to Lloyd for the Swans. Handball to Kennedy. Crashing in Dawson. He kicks while he's on the ground out towards Blakey, but Cummings there for GWS. Gives it to Cornelio. Handball to Hopper. Handball to Bruin at half forward. Handball out of the congestion towards Taranto, who's tackled. And the umpire to ball it up at half forward for GWS. The Swans by 25. 19 and a half played in the fourth.
One down by Sproul, straight towards Florent, who was tackled immediately. There'll be a ball up. Speaking of Heritage, now could be wrong on this, so let me know. 0437 774 774. Sproul won it down, bounced away from Cornelio. He gathered it again. It's held to him. But the Swans got the train at Lakeside during the week for, I think, the first time in 37 years since they left as South Melbourne.
Very cool. Statue of Bob Skilton.
Yeah.
Out the front, I believe.
There is indeed. I thought that was terrific of Sydney to do that. Although, of course, they then had to shift up to the Gold Coast because of the COVID problems in Victoria. Kicks inside forward 50. It's off hands and over the boundary line for a throw-in. Cumming getting the kick away for the Giants as Amati will take a seat. Inside 50s for the game. Sydney 44 to the Giants 39. Sydney have been more accurate too with their chances. 34% goals to forward entries as Cornelio hands it off to Tom Green. He throws it on the boot from the right forward pocket. Doesn't quite have the carry. Was missing anyway, but tracking it back. The mark taken there by Tom McCartan for Sydney. Clint Wilden alongside Ben Cameron in commentary. Our experts Shane Woden and David Mundy on Grandstand AFL.
8 coaches' votes last week for McCartan. Kicks beyond offensive 50, looking for Stevens. Picked up there by Goulden, who chips it towards Hickey. Standing in front of him, Taranto. Able to intercept mark just forward of the wing, Narang Riverside. 25-point City's lead.
Hickey have to be one of the best trades done for a while, wasn't he? How important in the Valley he's been towards Sydney this year.
Absolutely. Recruit of the year, they're saying.
They tend to do it, Sydney, for whatever reason, as we'll get a stoppage inside 50.
But it's not like his form at West Coast last year and the year before either was bad, so it's not a great surprise, just more opportunity.
Tap one down by Finlayson. Swans are able to emerge with it. Jake Lloyd got it to Kennedy. Measures a kick into space. Left half back. Blakey runs onto it. He takes a bounce and a second. Pops a hand pass over the top that has an unfortunate turn. Hayward was trying to get to it. He got bumped over. So too did Blakey. They're both okay. Going back into the fray. A little bit worse for wear, mind you. Throw in centre wing. Commentary side of the ground. Carrara. Derby. 21. I've got to get that right. Sorry, old habits die hard. Looking like it's going the way of Sydney in the Sydney Derby as it comes out toward, tackled by Rowbottom, gathered the footy for the Swans, gave it again to Florent, tackled the moment he received the football. Blakey actually isn't okay after that bump where it was almost his teammate Hayward that fell across his leg. He's going to get some treatment. Ball comes out to Heaney, worked it back to Florence and then to Rowbottom. The kick is off target. Hewitt's done well, gathered, well tackled by Cornelio. Just got a hand pass out to Wicks, racing by Josh Kennedy, runs to centre half forward, goes in the buddy direction, goes past Franklin as he turns and it tumbles through for a minor score. 15-7-97 the Swans, 11-5-71 the Giants. It's Sydney by 26 points in Sydney Derby 21.
Phil Davis with the kick in, a little bit iffy, but it finds Iden. It was impeded in the process of taking the mark. Just gave it a little bit of hang time there, Phil Davis. Iden had to sit and wait, never a good feeling.
He does a lot of things well, but he's an interesting choice for a kick in, Phil.
He won the club sweep for the Euros with Italy, Phil Davis, so he's been happy with that recently. As he goes to Iden here at fullback, who sends it to right half back, trying to find Cumming. Heaney picks it up for the Swans, sends it in the Franklin direction. Reed's there for GWS, fumbles it, but he swoops and pokes it through for a behind. Puts his hands on his head. Almost one for the thumb. For Buddy, a handful. Not to be. 15-8-98 the Swans. GWS 11-5-71. 24 minutes played in this final term.
Kennedy goes long up the middle into the centre circles. McInerney's there to Hayward, or hand passed it straight to Bruin. Couldn't believe his luck. And Bruin for the Giants kicks long towards full forward. Race on here. Can Sproul get there? He could. Might have been tackled without it by Rampy. Umpires say play on. Hickey with a short pass that I reckon's gone out of bounds on the full, has it? We'll have a look now at the officials. For a start, Sproul reckons he was infringed. It is going to be a free kick to the Giants, and Finlayson can have it. About 40 from goal. Does he look for a short pass and a teammate in a better position? The eyes dart across the forward line. He does. Puts it back in the direction of Sproul, who dives forward, and he's been paid the mark, and I'm not convinced it was.
It was turfed.
Wouldn't walk on that, would you, Bowie?
Not a chance.
Reckon it might have just sort of squirted out from underneath his grasp. Diving out in front of him to his left. Oh, he's dropped that, definitely. The replay tells us.
I'm taking my mark again.
Yes. Here he goes. Zach Sproul. It was an emergency and came in because of the Giants players who were unavailable due to the COVID situation. Sproul shoots on goal from 40 out. He's put it to the left. Perhaps a bit of football justice. 11-6-72 the Giants. 15-8-98 the Swans. Will be gone 26 minutes into the final term. Sydney by 26 points. Here's a question from Lee from Tasmania. Which South Australian club can pick Hickey up so he can play for 5 clubs in 5 states?
Maybe the Crows. I think Porter pretty set the ruck position. Dawson in the left back pocket. And the Crows are too with Riley O'Brien, but either way, here's Florent at left half back, chipping it over the top towards Wicks, who marks just backward of the logo, highway side of the ground. I think that is the definition of journeyman, isn't it? 4 teams in 4 states.
What's the old saying? More clubs than Arnold Palmer.
Dawson just backward of the logo. Still here the Swans. Chips it back to Rampion. Just taking some time off the clock. Here the Sydney Swans. They're going to improve their record to 11-6 as Rampy kicks long to the wing.
Up. Haynes couldn't mark. Over the top of it was Daniel Lloyd. Couldn't get there either, and attempted hand pass from Goulden forward into traffic. It's over the line for a throw-in. Joe from Wangaratta. G'day to you, Joe. Texting in 0437 774 774. A number of Bombers fans like Joe up and about with Sydney winning. Heaps Essendon in the 8 after their victory over North today by 18 points. Carlton by 29 over Collingwood. And the Eagles winners over Adelaide as well, as Papley's done well, spinning out of trouble and then finding Parker marking for Sydney. Too far out to score. He's at left half forward, probably 80 from goal. And move it short with an inboard pass. McInerney, who has 2 goals today, looks to switch play, kicking across and over the top of the centre circles to Heaney. Heaney will move it on again. In the hands of Jake Lloyd. Kick mark and an uncontested dominance at times for the Swans. 233 uncontested possessions to 199 of the Giants. Kicks in the bell direction. He couldn't mark. It's off hands. Floating through was Haynes to Iden. Hand pass over the top. wanted to try and find a teammate in O'Halloran. Instead, Rampy got there first for the Swans. Steps one way, then got away from O'Halloran, and he'll put it deep into the right forward pocket. He wants Franklin, came at it, couldn't mark Davis Courage. Front position, won it down. Perryman can clear. He'll go across half back to Reid, who'll mark.
So Reid, another journeyman, comes infield with his kick. Almost dangerous. Papley looking to chop it off, but it finds Ward, who then spears it onto the chest of Lloyd. GWS going to slip to 7 and 9, and Essendon will remain in the 8 behind the West Coast Eagles as Lloyd goes long to the wing, and Himmelberg is able to mark. And the Sydney Swans win the strangest of Sydney derbies up on the Gold Coast. They turn a 34-point deficit into a 26-point win, 15-8-98. They defeat the Giants 11-6-72 and solidify 6th on the ladder.
Big win for the Sydney Swans. Franklin kicked 4, so too did Papley. Wicks with 2, McInerney with 2. Hayward, Hickey and Parker all with singles for those in red and white. While for GWS, Himmelberg kicked 3, Lloyd with 2, Hogan with 2, singles to Perryman, to Kennedy, to Finlayson and to Bruin. Sydney, they get their 11th win of the year, up by 26 points. Another strange build-up to a game in these COVID times. It took until the third time of trying to get a venue for this particular game that was supposed to be at Giants Stadium, was moved to Ballarat and then moved again to Carrara on the Gold Coast. And then just hours, if even that, almost minutes before the game was about to get underway, news filtering through that a number of players from both the Giants and the Swans would be unable to play in this game, with them being reclassified as Tier 2 contacts because of their attendance at the Wallabies-France Test match in Melbourne earlier this week. They included players like Toby Green and also Callum Mills and Harry Cunningham. So a lot of changes had to be made at last minute. When it came to it, the Swans, they were able to establish themselves in the 8 for the moment. Their 11th win of the season, 44 points to the good. Sydney by 26 points in front of a crowd of 2,374. 15-8-98 to the Giants, 11-6-72. The Amati parties in the ground again. Great to see that they've travelled everywhere, the Sydney Swans. And another good result for them in their heritage jumper. They've won their past 3 now, Sydney.
It's the hats for me with the Amati party. You can have the sign, but the fact that they go to the attention to detail with the party hats that I think really makes the Amati party.
What did you make of it, Shane Woden and David Mundy on Grandstand AFL?
2.5 quarters, they were the dominant team. Yep. Really, I reckon midway through that second when they took charge, or only 3/4 of the way through it, wasn't it? It was all GWS, but then once they took control and they kicked the next 9, it was game over. GWS, I just felt they couldn't go with them either. Could they really? They changed gears in the third and then just were a far better team across the park.
Yeah, particularly during that phase when they were really dominant in the second half and part of the second quarter, they were really set up well behind the ball. They looked really safe, and the pressure around the ball were enforcing GWS to quick kick it a little bit more into their forward line, enabling the Swans to rebound and really protect the ball from there. And Benny threw up a stat early that they scored 2 points from turnovers out of their back 50 last week, and certainly in the second half they looked much safer and much more sure with the ball coming out of their back line.
Yeah, it is something they're very good at. I mean, the competition average 4.5 goals with defensive half turnovers, and they only gave up 2 points last week. And they're able to somehow, and a lot of it has been attributed to Don Pike, walk the tightrope of being very attacking with their ball movement, but not coughing it up, which I imagine is the give and take. You want your team to do it, but how do you go quickly but safe and be attacking without exposing your defence if you do turn it over? So somehow they're balancing that at the moment, while their contest work isn't at elite levels so far this year.
Which is what good teams do, don't they? They can balance and find that safe behind the ball when they do attack and take the right avenues. So they're a dangerous team, Sydney. They sit comfortably in 6th right now, and I'm pretty certain they'll assure themselves of a finals place. But, dismantling West Coast, knocking the doggies off. That's a very good win.
Who wins the medal?
It's probably one of 6, I reckon.
Yeah. There's a few you could pick from. I thought Luke Parker stood out today. In that second quarter in particular, it was him and Kennedy really stood up, and obviously we know how hard he is around the ball, and he puts his head over it, and in some really awkward situations that not many would, but I thought his field kicking tonight really stood out. He peeled off some really nice ones back into the corridor, kicked a beautiful goal right on half-time to keep them in it and give them a bit of momentum at that stage.
Just the way the Swans are hugging all of their support staff on the boundary line at the moment, it looks like there's a little bit of extra something in it. I'm not sure. We don't see that an awful lot. I'm not sure exactly.
It is a derby.
I know it is a derby, but
it's a derby. They've gone through a lot. I think
that's it. That's what I'm alluding to. I think it's more the drama of the relocations. They've been away from home for a long period of time, lost players before the game. I think we're seeing a little bit of that with that emotion on the sideline right now.
And these two clubs have done it tougher than most, because not only have they had they've been out of their state. Yeah, they've been out of their state in Victoria for a period of time as well. Well done to the Swans. 3 straight wins for them. It's a huge result. The Giants, of course, have had to travel that challenging road too, but they'll be thrilled, Sydney, with that result. It camps them in 6th at the moment. So it's an interesting looking ladder. The draw with Melbourne sees them on top with 54 points. Bulldogs in 2nd, 52. Geelong in 3rd with 52. There's a 10-point percentage gap between the Bulldogs over Geelong. Port Adelaide in 4th with 48 points. Then a gap to Brisbane on 44. Let's head down into the rooms. That's what we've got. We'll see if we can get the full song for you when we can. I know our Swans fans will certainly want to hear it. Mentioned before then, a bit of a gap. Brisbane are in 5th, 124.9% with 44 points. Sydney with 44 points in 6th, 116.5. And then you have another solid jump. In fact, 2 games worth. West Coast in 7th with 36 points. And then the jam happens. Essendon, well done to Bombers fans. They'll be thrilled. G'day to Corbin Middlemass in particular. In the 8 tonight, 32 points, 104.5. Richmond are 9th, 32 points, 100.8 their percentage. Fremantle's in 10th, 32 points, 92.5% their percentage. And St Kilda are in 11th, 32 points, the percentage of 86.6. I suppose we need to still mathematically throw them into the mix. The Giants with 30 points, 95.5 in 12th, and Carlton. It's unlikely, but still mathematically possible. They're in 13th with 28 points, 93.9. But there's 4 teams now, all locked on the same points, with the Bombers holding on to 8th spot because of their superior percentage, which you could not really ask for much more with 5 rounds of the season to go after the end of today's game. That's a tremendous way to go about things. We'll get more thoughts from Ben Cameron and his numbers in just a moment, but The effort from Sydney in particular turned it around today. And we know that they're a good team, and we were all surprised the way that the Giants leapt out of the blocks. That was quite staggering. And having a look through, they kicked at one stage 7 unanswered goals. They led by 34 points at the 25-minute mark of the second term. That's a sizable gap. For Sydney to do what they did, dying stages of that second quarter, and then absolutely dominate from that point on, what a tremendous effort by Sydney.
Oh, huge. They looked dead and buried, didn't they? Which was un-Sydney-like. And then GWS started to lose a bit of shape in front of the ball, didn't they?
Yeah.
Flynn's injury was huge too. I thought it had a huge impact because Finlayson's not a genuine ruckman, obviously, and plays more on forward of the ball. But as we see here now, it's a big club approach. But yeah, a little momentum shift late in the second, gave them a bit of hope, bit of belief back in the game, and then but their balls around the ball were extreme tonight. Hewitt played a big part along with Kennedy and Parker, and they just started to get their hands on it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Got a bit dirty and started to give them some territory, and then they looked more dangerous in front of the footy in the second half too.
Yeah, and early before they fully took control of the game, their work around the ball was just really nullifying what GWS were able to do in the first quarter and a half in terms of leaving those contests and leaving those stoppages, getting some really good looks to one-on-one forwards. Sydney just nullified that first, and then through that work rate and through that effort, were able to get really good looks themselves.
And just how do they do it? It just feels like they just find guys and they just emerge. I mean, the 4 rising stars this year with Errol Gordon, who's got a lot of love. Errol. Justin McInerney, who was impressive today. A couple of goals for him, but was really good around the ground. Braden Campbell and Chad Warner aren't even in the team today. Logan McDonald, I think most people think he's going to be a really good player and isn't there. But it's even the unheralded ones. And I know he's received a little bit of praise recently, Jordan Dawson. 10 coaches' votes last week, formerly at Geelong. Big offers from Adelaide are coming, but has become a really nice player. Hewitt was big today. They're just able to find these guys and make them into very, very reliable, serviceable AFL footballers.
Well, a lot of those kids are from their academy.
Yeah,
those first few, like Gordon, Campbell. Is McInerney an academy player?
Don't think so.
No,
I don't think so.
I'm
not sure about
it. But they have. Your point is a good one.
Their academy's been very good for a very long time.
Now, McInerney's from country Victoria.
Sorry.
So he's not an academy product.
Wicks.
James Bellies.
Yeah,
Wicks is, an academy product.
Yep. So,
but I mean, a lot of those, guys like Wicks wasn't a high draft pick. And I know they get a discount from the academy, but other clubs can bid on them.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they clearly do a really good job with their academy, don't they? And the designs of the academy was to ensure that those players play Aussie rules football rather than rugby league, and it seems to be working.
They do a good job up there.
Yeah.
And those players get bidded on, but what they do in behind the scenes to make sure that they've got enough value in behind that to make sure they're selected and they can take them and keep them is a very good job from a list management point of view also.
Don't forget too, and I know it's irritating for people outside of New South Wales, but it's really important for Sydney and GWS, the academies, particularly because you are still trying to build a club's not the right term, but a culture of Australian football within those two states. And so if you can continually convince youngsters to play footy and then they go through and play for Sydney or GWS, the kids in the rest of the community see that happening and they have that link towards the club. I would understand if you're a Melbourne club and you go, well, hang on, they get all these really good players. I know why it's frustrating for them, but they are in a really different market to...
Same as Brisbane.
Same as Brisbane. They're in a really different market to the southern states. So you actually need to have that really strong link between what I would regard as your juniors, like going back 40 years ago, and the club themselves.
And having lived in the state, in a rugby-dominated state...
From your time in Brisbane with the Lions?
Yeah, you're up against it from an AFL club point of view, because all kids want to do up there from a very young age, they play rugby. It's all in the schools. Footy's not played at school a hell of a lot. So the work they do in the community, in their programs and taking it to regional areas is enormous. So, and and the work they do behind the scenes within their academy and what they give up to make sure that these kids are developed and coming through and nurtured is extraordinary.
One thing we didn't really speak about today as well with Big Bud booting his 4. He did kick his 400th goal for the Sydney Swans, which is appropriate. It comes against GWS because remember when he was leaving Hawthorn, we all thought he was going to Sydney. We just thought he was going a little further west rather than sunning himself at Bondi, which made a bit more sense for the rock star Bud, and he ended up with the Sydney Swans, and 400 goals later. Still hasn't been franked with the premiership, but he's been pretty good for them on that long-term deal.
He certainly has, hasn't he?
He has, and
deal.
I think the criticism of that deal early was will he see it out? And he's obviously had a few bumps along the way in the last couple of years, but his form tonight certainly highlights how good he still is.
They need superstars too, Sydney.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that
Draw
has
cards.
to be. They need draw cards. You know, you need your Franklins, and before that your Lockett, and before that your Cappers. They need those superstar forwards to try and help them in that market. So I think it would have been great if he'd gone to GWS, but the fact that he still ended up at Sydney I don't think is a bad thing for football. So you've got David Mundy, Sydney, next week. No idea
Maybe.
where. When, what's going on. What impressed you? What really stood out for you from that group?
Yeah, their ability to change the game mid-second quarter, with first just locking the Giants down around the ball and denying them what they wanted, purely through like a work rate and execution around the ball in the contest, at the stoppages in particular. And then obviously, Big Flynn hurt himself and in the second half was a bit limited and didn't play much the last quarter. But then from there, their ability to set the ground up, how they want to play, protect their back line, keep their back six intact, but first as a defensive mechanism, but then able to use that in an offensive way by switching the ball around, getting it to the open side. And their work rate from that was really highlighted in that last quarter. I thought they looked like they were running on top of the ground, and the Giants were really battling and labouring behind. And as a result, Sydney had a lot of spare players, I felt like, and could control the ball and move it how they pleased in that last quarter.
I'll get you 2 birds with 1 stone. Just roll in tomorrow, ready for the week ahead, and you've already done your Oppo analysis on the Sydney Swans and commentated the game.
Shane, I'll get you to put the Giants hat on here. No Mumford with a back injury, which we could suspect could be a number of weeks. Now no Flynn. It didn't look great for Kelly, who he knows one of their prime movers. They've got Essendon next week, and then their run after the Bombers is a challenging one anyway. You go through, they've got Port, and this is all, of course, assuming. I'll put it this way. As scheduled, they've got Port Adelaide, and then they've got Geelong, Richmond, and Carlton. Can you see a chance here for GWS to be involved in finals football? Because with the injuries that they now have sort of starting to mount up, I reckon that's going to be challenging for them. Whitfield, they might get back. He had concussion, so he could return next week potentially. But I'm worried about their big man department, and Kelly's a massive blow.
Yeah,
and of course Toby Green might spend 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks in quarantine.
You certainly, from an inner sanctum point of view, and Barrow will certainly he can jump in here any time. But from a club point of view, internally within your 4 walls, you're not giving up hope, and you're going to the line with everything you do. But at the end of the day, injuries and particularly to big guys, because they don't grow on trees, do they? They don't get any bigger. So it does take its toll eventually. And because some players, and particularly if you bring in young kids in, they're not up to the level just yet. So particularly in their big man department, I'm not sure who they bring in next, who next on the list to be able to come in. So I find it very hard. I thought the one against the Gold Coast Suns last week was really disappointing, which really hurt them, I thought, in the back end this year, which they should have iced it. But yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult from now.
And get off the fence, Shane. Yes or no?
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying.
You're no.
Be difficult, yeah.
You're no. I'm a no. I think that loss rules them out.
And I mean, this is what we've said about GWS. You look at them and go, well, who are they? I mean, they lose to Hawthorn, who I think we all agree aren't much chopped this year. Then they beat Melbourne, who may well be the best team in it this year, top of the ladder at the moment. And then they lose to Gold Coast. And today in the first half, or the first quarter and the first part of the second quarter, they look very, very good. And then they stop to a walk and look fairly mediocre. So I don't know. Are they picking and choosing? Are they just not very good? What is it?
Oh, you talk their brand?
Yeah. Who they are. What are they?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
We wondered that at the start of the year with their first 3 losses, and then good responses against Collingwood and Sydney when they went back-to-back. And they did fight their way out of trouble, but the last month's been disappointing. And I thought they were an outside chance, but I do think the injuries are going to hurt them. And Toby Green, we see it time and time again. He makes such a difference to them. They seem to be more, I don't know whether it's just the captaincy or the sort of person he is, but he's involved in everything. He gets stuck in. He does some grunt work when required. He can be brilliant when required. And if he's going to be out for the next 2 weeks, I think GWS's season comes to a stop here.
He's their polish to me in their front half. He's sort of like, he can win his contest, can keep it in his area, he can class to finish off.
He's got a bit of mongrel when needed.
Yeah, he stands up when needed and when required, so he's certainly an important part.
Braden Pruce is on their list as another ruck, but he's 7 to 11 weeks away with the pec. So the only other ruck that they really have on their list is Kieran Briggs. So he might just be looking around thinking, I'm the last man standing. Could be in.
unless he's one of the...
Well, he's not on the injured list.
I was going to say, unless he's one of the 6 we don't know about who went to the rugby.
That's a very good point.
Is he a drafted last year? Was he a mid-season pick?
Good question. We'll find that out for you. Question without... I'll have to take that from the
It will be very difficult from now.
Yeah, they needed to win this one to get back and sort of put themselves back in it after, as you mentioned, that really disappointing loss to Gold Coast last week.
He's a Giants Academy product, so he was taken with pick 34 in the 2018 draft.
So he's been there a bit.
He's actually the second Western Sydney product to be drafted by the club. So 200 centimetres, has been working with Mumford and the likes to try and get himself going.
0437 774 774 if you do want to get in touch with us. Dave from Footscray going back to talk I do like this about Tom Hickey. He said if he does end up with 5 clubs in 5 states, surely that ensures his status as an All-Australian. That's quite clever.
Very good.
I like that. Good job. G'day, team. A couple of people asking, can the Kangas jump the Crows and or / the Pies to avoid the wooden spoon? Graham asked from Carnot. We'll come back to that one in just a moment. Graham, thank you very much for getting in touch with us. But let's head downstairs into the victorious Sydney Swans rooms. Josh Kennedy has been good enough to join us. Congratulations to you, Josh. We watched the celebrations and what it meant at the end of the game, and it really did seem to be a victory that was a little bit more than just the 4 points.
Yeah, g'day guys, how you going? Very special win with and the Giants, were in the same boat as well, but just the few weeks leading in, obviously the craziness before the game and even during the game, the way that it started and the way that we were able to turn it around and finish so strong.
There's a bit to talk about. Can you take us through, well, firstly, the COVID situation we found out about before the game, and then all of a sudden you're losing 2 really valuable players. Harry Cunningham, who's 147-odd games, and Callum Mills, 100-plus games himself, and you suddenly find out they can't play. How did you deal with that as a group? How were you told about it?
We were told about 5 minutes before we ran out. How did we deal with it? Well, I guess we just got on with it. We celebrated the inclusion of the guys that came in, and probably spent a bit too much energy, to be honest, doing that because we didn't start very well. But we couldn't do much about it, so just got on with it.
What happened to the players? So they were right there with you in the rooms. They've done the earlier warm up, I imagine, where you just sort of wander around the ground. What happened to them from that point?
Sort of. They hadn't done the normal warm up. There was a bit of toing and froing before the game. Team managers running around. You could tell there was something going on, but I don't think anyone really knew what was going on. Then the room mill started, so we didn't really see them. And then we got told that they were out.
So as a player, when you're warming up, there's whispers going around the change room. The team manager's running around. You guys start relatively poorly today. Does that disrupt you, or how much does it disrupt you when you're getting ready to play?
Oh, I mean, if you take away the way that we started, I'd like to say no. I mean, the whole week's been pretty crazy. We lost our head fitness staff earlier in the week. Our weights coach and basically all our medical staff two physio. So it's been a pretty crazy lead in, and then for this to happen, it was sort of just roll your eyes and just go with it, I guess. Just with the craziness that's happened all week, and then get on with it. But whether it affected our start, I'd like to think not. That wasn't the reason. But we certainly didn't start well.
That sounds amazing. You've lost all those players from your football department. Sorry, all those people from your football department, and you've still got to try and focus on winning a game of footy. That's incredible.
Well, nothing's really incredible in the last, with what's happened this year and last year and the last few weeks. So, I mean, it's a real credit to our staff. I think that's the big reason why the emotion was in it after the game. It wasn't really about the players. It was about the staff that have gone above and beyond. They're working 24 hours a day, just trying to make everything happen so that we can sort of focus on footy, and that's really what all the emotion was after the game. It was more about them, and that sort of gets lost in it all, how much work that our staff and support staff are putting in.
You had to do an enormous amount of work, and as did your teammates. So you're 34 points down at the 25-minute mark of the second term. What changed out on the ground? And then all of a sudden you go in, you're trailing by 16 points, and by the end of the third term you're up by 19. Was there a switch that was flicked? What happened out there?
Well, it's never just one thing, but obviously our intensity lifted. We started to even up the contested possession and the clearances, and our work rate just lifted as well. I think everyone just gave an extra 5%, and the tide started to turn. We got some momentum, and then we got the roll on.
Having a bloke like Buddy Franklin kicking 3 goals is reasonably handy as well in that particular quarter and 4 for the game.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's an absolute superstar. I don't need to tell you that. Just continues to set the standard for us and prove a lot of people wrong who wrote him off at the start of the year.
Very true. Josh Kennedy is our special guest from the Sydney Swans, beating the Giants by 26 points here on Grandstand AFL. Clint Wilden alongside Ben Cameron and our experts Shane Woden and David Mundy.
JK, Dave Mundy here, mate. We've been singing your praises all night. You and Lukey Parker, a huge influence, obviously, on the Sydney Football Club for a long time now. But we've also been speaking about the young guys you've been nurturing through. Must be pleasing to see those guys really stepping up in games like tonight.
Yeah, it is. It was a really even contribution. Even like James Robon came in, he played a full game yesterday in the middle of the heat yesterday and had to back it up today. So that was a great effort. But Ollie Florence taking his game to another level. And probably Kellen Mills is one that's really, through the midfield, has really stepped up. He's probably been our best player, even along with Parks, throughout the course of the year. Obviously he wasn't out there tonight, but it's really pleasing to see him just take the reins and run with it.
Josh, Shane Woden, well done, mate. It's a fantastic win, considering all the circumstances and the situations going on now in this pandemic, mate. Georgie Hewitt, did he have a role early today? Was he going to Hopper's body a bit around stoppage? But so his form too also this year has been extraordinary.
Yeah, he's been huge, playing different positions. Yep. He started half back at the start of the year and played sort of lockdown roles. He played on Toby Green actually earlier in the year at half back. Given the way that the team sort of played out, and the changing of positions, he's come in the midfield, which he's a natural midfielder and sets a tone for us with the way that he attacks the 40 and can win a contested possession, and he that was on display tonight. And not only that, he often goes to the opposition best mids and tries to play off them and use them as a starting point and get after it, and he did that perfectly tonight.
Mate, for all the Sydney listeners out there, there's obviously a players... It's a big club approach, and there's obviously players not playing at the moment, and particularly young guys as well. But just how they're going at the moment in the VFL with like Warner, Campbell, Logan McDonald, those guys who are playing early in the year and not quite getting the games, are they injured or are they playing VFL at this stage?
Yeah, a few of them are coming back from injury, like Warner and Campbell are still coming back from injury, and they'll have a run in the VFL hopefully in the next few weeks and build up for later in the season. Logan McDonald's been playing in reserves and been pretty consistent, so he's going to take a little bit longer, probably a bit harder as a key forward, but he's there and ready to go. So you just never know when we might need to call on him.
Josh, Ben Cameron here. Appreciate your time. I'm a sucker for themes. I like to buy into them, and I love the theme of the Sydney Swans wearing the South Melbourne heritage jumper for the rest of the year when it looked like you were going to be in Melbourne for the rest of the year. Now you've obviously relocated to Queensland, etc., etc. But how did that come about? Who came up with the idea and the concept?
Well, I think it was just obviously we wore it. It was going to be a once-off last week. And there was just so much praise for it amongst the playing group and the supporters. And it was pushed to the president and the CEO, and I think the people won out on that one. It was just a weight of numbers thing.
Love big body inside mids too. And next week, we don't know when or where, but you come up against Fremantle. I've got a man sitting to my right, David Mundy. Yeah. Do you two sort of normally stand side by side and just crash in and see who can win the football?
Historically, it's sort of gone a little bit that way. Not sure how much we're crashing into each other. But, historically, it's been that way. But look, Dave set the tone this year. He's been incredible, and given a lot of guys like myself plenty of hope as the years go on. So keep doing that, Dave. And I'm using you as an example when Horses tries to play me in different roles, less positions. I'm always pointing out Dave Mundy and say, look at that, why can't I do that? So.
Thanks, mate. I like starting on you so I don't have to run into you.
Hey, I'm also a sucker for father-sons, and you're a third-generation footballer. Now, you got a young fella, Emilio. I've seen some photos of him in the full training kit, getting involved at Sydney training. How's he looking? I know he's young, but could it be?
Oh, look, who knows? It is good seeing him at training. He loves coming down to training, but he's into everything at the moment. He's pretty spoilt down in Sydney. He's into his skateboarding and surfing and everything that I have got no idea about. So I'm learning the ropes there. But him and Isabella, my daughter, they're great fun, and hopefully I get to see them soon.
So are you set up in camp now on the Gold Coast for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, we are for the foreseeable future, but who knows how long that is. We don't know. Things can change pretty quickly, as we've seen.
Do you have any idea where you'll be playing, Freo?
No, I don't.
No. And that's fair enough because nobody seems to at this point in time, but we thought we would ask the question. Joshua, tremendous. Well done. Well done to Luke Parker as well, picking up, I think, a third now Brett Kirk medal with his 31 touches. Best of luck for what's to come. I hope things settle down on the East Coast for you and the Swans and for everyone over there.
Good on you guys. Thanks for having me.
Good on you. Josh Kennedy downstairs. He was tremendous today. 30 disposals for him, 12 kicks, 18 hand passes. And he can also chuck in along the lines 3 marks, 3 inside 50s and 4 tackles. Ben Cameron will have all the numbers for you very shortly as well. But what we might do now is we'll pause and come back with the numbers, final thoughts from our experts, and also touch base with one of the earlier games today. Carlton beaten Collingwood by 29 points. Wherever you're listening on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital and on News Radio, this is Grandstand AFL.
What do you think makes someone an Australian of the Year?
It's people who show courage, sacrifice and kindness.
Now's the time to reflect.
On your community.
And who you admire.
Now's the time to respect.
By nominating and acknowledging them.
Now's the time to celebrate.
Their story, their contribution and their generosity.
I'm Hamish McDonald, and I'd love you to nominate an inspirational Australian who you think is worthy at australianoftheyear.org.au.
The 2021 AFL Premiership season on ABC Radio and on ABC Sport Digital.
It's been a big Sunday on Grandstand AFL. The results across the day. Essendon moved into the 8 with an 18-point win over North Melbourne. Carlton keep their paper-thin finals hopes alive with a 29-point win over Collingwood. West Coast found their winning ways again, 42 points to the good of Adelaide. And after being down by 34 points in the second quarter, the Swans bounced back to win Sydney Derby 21 by 26 points. Ben Cameron, what do the other numbers tell us?
So the leading ball winners on the ground, Luke Parker with 31, George Hewitt with 30, Josh Kennedy with 30. As we spoke about, 17 contested possessions for Josh Kennedy, 10 clearances. Hewitt also with 7 clearances, Luke Parker with 9. So that trio getting it done with the hard stuff. Tim Taranto, 27 for GWS, Cal Ward with 24, Perryman with 23. Some of the other important numbers, the inside 50, Sydney 47 to GWS 41. Marks inside 50, GWS 11 to 10. Contested possessions +2 the way of GWS, and the clearances +7 to Sydney in the finish. Ground ball gets +3 for GWS.
So how did the votes go, gents, in our final game of round 18? Who's responsible? David Mundy, Shane Woewode? Who's got that job?
Collaborative approach.
A collaborative approach. Very nice.
Yes. And so one we've gave to Josh Kennedy for his ability and what he did around the ball, particularly from midway through the second two. It was one of the balls that went to work in there. We've given 2 to McInerney. His ability off half-back, he's kicked 2, but he gave good overlap, good drive, used the ball pretty well, and had a real impact on the game. And the 3, we've given it to the Brett Kirk medalist in Luke Parker with his 31, had 9 clearance. So I think 26 clearances for their top 3 mids tonight. They certainly went to work after half-time. Special mention to Franklin and Papley with their 4, but pretty much their work was done in the back half of the game.
And they're bottom 5 in the competition for centre clearances, Sydney. So for whatever reason, it's traditionally been the MO of Sydney that they're pretty good in the trenches, but this year it doesn't seem to be. So Parker and Kennedy and Hewitt sort of came to work today. I know not all centre clearances, but generally it hasn't been a strength for them, the clearances this year.
Yeah, and as we said, 26 out of their 43 clearances from those 3 guys, so it's a huge contribution.
Injury issues for the Giants out of this game. Kelly with an ankle and Flynn with a shoulder injury. Kelly was subbed out. Flynn couldn't continue. The Giants just didn't have... they'd already made their substitution, so couldn't do anything about putting another player out onto the ground. The COVID situation, there were 5 late outs because of COVID. Sydney and GWS players and staff who were at the rugby on Tuesday night in Melbourne now may need to quarantine for 14 days. Those we know are affected by that: Toby Green and Matt DeBoer for GWS, Harry Cunningham, Callum Mills and Colin O'Riordan for Sydney. They were the changes that need to be made. Fox Footy reporting that the Queensland government has told the AFL that anyone who attended the rugby in Melbourne would be required to spend 2 weeks in isolation regardless of getting a negative test result. So that would be a blow, potentially ruling out Toby Green from the Giants, and as I mentioned, key players like Mills and Cunningham from Sydney for the next 2 games. What we might do is touch base again with Carlton's win over Collingwood, called on Grandstand AFL. The Blues victorious. Matt Clinch was chatting with Matthew Kennedy.
Thanks, Clint. Carlton winners by 29 points of the MCG. 13-13-91 to the Pies, 9-8-62. They kicked the last 7 goals of the match, 6 goals for to 3 behinds in the final term. Matthew Kennedy was a big part of it, and he can join us on ABC Sport. Matthew, well done on the win. What did it mean in that final term to surge in the way in which you did against the Pies?
Yeah, I think it's a real team lift of that one. Obviously, we've been in a few games this year, and going into the last quarter, we've sort of let teams, I suppose, get the wood over us. I think it's good for the confidence, but the morale of the group to fight hard and dig in and get the win.
Matt, congratulations on the win. Obviously, with the captain going out, it's a lot more responsibility for you in the middle of the ground. Firstly, how did you enjoy that? And then secondly, you really dominated through the middle of the ground today, albeit with Grundy winning the hit-outs. How did you guys want to set up against Collingwood through the middle of the ground today?
Well, obviously you can't replace a Cripper, so I think everyone just sort of bought into trying to pull a bit more weight today, and I think everyone knew their role going into the game, and I think certainly everyone just enjoyed the opportunity to get more minutes through there and play their role, and I think we did that. And I think it's credit to, I suppose, young Tommy TDK. I thought he was outstanding against Grundy and thought he gave us a lot of first looks, which we probably didn't expect going into the game, but we sort of had the plan. If we have good starting points and sort of own their back, we could get them on the spread, and I think we've done that very well tonight.
Jordan Roughhead really had the better of Harry Mackay in those first 3 quarters. Did the coach ask for a special lift from Harry at 3-quarter time, or was it player led that you asked for a special lift from Harry at 3-quarter time? He was terrific in that last quarter.
No, I think Harry's probably his own harshest critic, but I think that's a real growth in Harry's game, not to get frustrated if it's not going his way. He backs himself in there. He knows what he's got to do, and he keeps playing his role, and sometimes it doesn't work for him, but today we've seen in the last quarter it sort of clicked from him, but I think that's a real growth in his game, not to get frustrated and put his head down. I reckon in the past he's probably led like the first 3 quarters. If he hasn't had a good game, it's led to a bad game, but I think the growth to, knows the important role for us, and he stood up in the last quarter, which I thought a lot of boys did, was a credit to himself, really.
Bam, it's Lids here, mate. Sammy Walsh in the middle of the ground, mate, continues just to rack it up and just prove that he is one of the best midfielders, mate. You must be a real privilege watching him go to work, but give us a bit of an insight as to what he's like, mate, day to day in the club.
Well, he's a bit of a character, Sammy. He's always got full of energy, and I think we see that out on the ground. He just does not stop running. But look, Sammy's a real humble kid, and I think everyone knows in the footy club that he's got a bright future ahead of him. But Sammy's always working on his craft and looking to make the team better, if that's sacrificing his own role. But I think he just keeps taking his game to another level because he's so professional. His ability to recover during the week and then get the best out of himself game day. And I think for a bloke so young, he's pulling others along with him, even older blokes. So I think he's a big reason of why we're going forward. And he's a terrific kid.
Matthew Kennedy with us on Grandstand AFL. Matt, the Carlton-Geelong game last week obviously became a talking point for a number of reasons as the state has headed into lockdown for a 5th time. Did you have many partners of players or family members, friends tied up in what took place at the MCC members last week?
I think it was more the coaches in the elevator, but other than that, we were pretty lucky, I think, not to get caught up in the COVID drama. So I think we had half a day there where there was no coaches, so that was a good day. Hopefully we can have that a bit more often.
I was about to say, who took charge on those days?
No, I think it was the leaders started to take over a bit, but then unfortunately the coaches came in and took over again.
Just on the week for the week for Jack Silvani as well. Obviously, he looked emotional, understandably, on the ground tonight at various stages after the passing of Serge, as a legend of the Carlton Football Club. How was that, I guess, discussed or dealt with by the playing group more broadly?
Yeah, we addressed that post-game. I think, the history of the Silvani name means a lot to the footy club and to Jack. You see the way Jack plays. He's very proud and passionate for the jumper. You'll see that in his performance every week. But I think today he went to another level, and I think all the boys got around him, especially when he kicked his goal. And I think he'll remember this one for a long time.
Matthew, finally, it seems like the players and officials sometimes know as much as anyone, so you're meant to play North Melbourne next week. Is there any conversations about details potentially changing?
Well, not that I've heard so far, but hopefully it's still in Melbourne. But if it's up in Gold Coast, I wouldn't mind a bit of sun anyway. It's getting pretty cold, so I don't think it worries the players too much, mate.
Matty, thanks for joining us. Well done on the win.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well done to the Melbourne team, led by Matt Clinch there, speaking to Matthew Kennedy after Carlton's win over Collingwood. 13-13. What happened there? 13-13-91 to Collingwood's 9-8-62, a 29-point victory. To Essendon by 18 points over North Melbourne. To West Coast, the Eagles getting a win after 3 consecutive losses by 42 points over Adelaide. And the Giants, well, They got away to a tremendous start against Sydney and led by 34 points. But the Swans, they won Sydney Derby 21. And they won it convincingly by 26 points to establish themselves in 6th position in the 8. Big thanks to Shane Woden, to David Muddy, to Ben Cameron, to our techs, Martin Roth, who did a great job, and also Bridget Lacey in the studio. Clint Wilden signing off. We'll have footy for you. Not sure where, not sure when, but the AFL and Grandstand AFL will continue next weekend. Thanks for your company. Bye for now.
You to explore.
Fantastic live music.
Thank you for having us in.
Everyone on ABC One Love.
Live and local with Jacob Brown.
ABC Radio.
Hello and welcome to the show. For the next half hour, I'll be bringing you some great live music highlights from ABC Radio. Stick around, you'll hear from Josh Pike.
Be living like we live that summer. I want to live like we live in the summer.
Sarah Storer.
No, don't you ever forget me. I'll see you later, sweet territory.
As well as Emma Swift.
I'm going.
Stick around for that and much more on today's edition of Live and Local. But first up, this is Kyle Leinhardt on ABC Radio.
I've never been too sure of much in my life. I'm sure of you and I. They say young love won't get us very far. We're willing to give it a try. 'Cause babe, it's just you and I. 'Cause babe, it's just you and I. I've never been a gambler man, but I feel my chips are stacking high. When I've lost it all and you're still there, I know I'm gonna be alright. 'Cause babe, it's just you and I. 'Cause babe, it's just you and I. Never been a man of faith, but I feel heaven can't offer much now. 'Cause how much better can it get than when you're holding the love of your life? 'Cause babe, it's just you and I. 'Cause babe, it's just you and I. 'Cause babe, just you and I, babe, it's just you and
I. This is Live and Local on ABC Radio.
No, they won't see, even if they could. There's no race to run. A little pain is good, and they're wrong. We're alright. We're alright. We're alright. I see blood on the train. Feel it in my veins. I see hurt everywhere.